Chapter 335. Aojin, bring Bao Hua to the dragonization pool. Liu called out to the door. An elder golden dragon immediately came into the hall. Thank you, Your Majesty. Bao Hua bowed to Liu and left. After a while, Bao Hua followed Aojin to the dragonization pool. The dragonization pool is in front. Aojin pointed at the dragonization pool and looked at Bao Hua. I don't know why Your Majesty asked you to come to the dragonization pool to recover. You must know that the dragonization pool is an important place for the dragon tribe. Letting you come is a huge favor. Your Majesty, Bao Hua is very grateful. I dare not forget. Bao Hua bowed to the golden dragon elder. It's good that you are grateful. The golden dragon elder waved his hand. Go. Thank you. Bao Hua thanked him and flew into the dragonization pool. The dragonization pool was a small storage. Bao Hua's life and death were in Liu's hands. Endless purplish gold light flowed, and an invisible wave swept past. Bao Hua was like a fish on a chopping board, waiting to be cut. Ha ha! Liu sat on the high platform and knocked on the table in front of him. He smiled and nodded. Bao Hua's original form is the black heavenly treasure tree, which is equivalent to the Xian Tian fairy vine. She also knows the Khanate spiritual realm and is one of the ancestors of the demon tribe. The information in her memory is very useful. Liu laughed. System, scan Bao Hua's memory and information about the black heavenly treasure tree. Of course, since Bao Hua was here to recover, Liu had to heal her too. He took out some divine spring water from the resource storage and poured it into the dragon transformation pool's resource storage. Inside the dragonization pool, endless purplish gold light flowed, and a stream of vitality flowed into Bao Hua's body. The dragonization pool is indeed marvelous. Exuberant vitality sprouted within her body. Under the cleansing of this clear flow, Bao Hua discovered that the injuries she had sustained when she was attacked by the six extreme sacred ancestor and the others were rapidly healing. If I don't have any fortuitous encounters or precious treasures, I don't know how many thousands of years it will take for me to recover from my injuries. Now, it seems like it will recover very soon. Bao Hua's face was filled with surprise. His Majesty Emperor, you healed my injuries and saved the devil world from destruction. As expected of the virtuous saint. The dragonization pool's functions were not limited to these. It also had the ability to automatically cast the loyalty mark. Boundless purple gold light swirled around Bao Hua's body. Naturally, the loyalty mark also merged with Bao Hua. Unknowingly, Bao Hua was becoming more and more grateful to His Majesty Emperor Yu. He was becoming more and more respectful towards him. And then one of the primogenitors of the Devil Realm, a peak existence that had dominated the Devil Realm for countless years, fell into Li Yu's demonic claws. When the last bit of injury in Bao Hua's body was cleansed by the clear stream, Bao Hua let out a long breath. Bao Hua felt the abundant energy in his body. He felt that there was no longer any hindrance in his body. Bao Hua smiled happily. The surging light around him had receded. Bao Hua knew that it was time to go out. A stream of pink light shot up. Countless flowers appeared. The flowers bloomed and withered, and the petals fell like rain. Your Majesty, Bao Hua's injuries have healed. Thank you for your grace. After a while, Bao Hua arrived at the Dragon Palace and knelt in front of Liu. Rise. Liu smiled and nodded. He reached out and helped Bao Hua up. Bao Hua, when you return to the Devil Realm, just do as I say. Bao Hua had already been branded with the loyalty mark. He was now Liu's subordinate. Liu gave Bao Hua an order. Yes. Bao Hua bowed and accepted the order without hesitation. The talisman I gave you is a precious treasure. Other than the ability to travel through space, it can also protect you and kill your enemies. Use it wisely. The talisman Liu had given him was naturally no simple item. The talisman had the ability to open a retrieval channel. It would allow Li Yu to borrow Bao Hua's hand to collect certain items. For example, the Peace Larva Mother and the 2 half-dead true immortals. In addition, Bao Hua could use his own strength to exchange for a one-time skill. For example, the ability to travel through space and the skill Li Yu had used to kill enemies and protect himself. Although it was a small trick, the talisman was still a precious treasure. Thank you for your grace, your majesty. Go. Li Yu dismissed Bao Hua with a wave of his hand. He had her go to the Devil Realm to deal with the Stemborer Queen. Yes. Bao Hua will take his leave. After bowing to Li Yu, Bao Hua left the Dragon Palace and hurried toward the Devil Realm. Bao Hua will definitely be able to retrieve the Stemborer Queen's body and the souls of the 2 true immortals. These things are still very valuable to me. The Peace Larva Mother was one thing, but the souls and memories of the 2 true immortals were very useful to Li Yu. Through the souls and memories of the 2 true immortals, Li Yu could understand the situation in the immortal realm and the cultivation of immortals. This would be very helpful to him in establishing his own path to immortality. The Devil Realm has already laid down its chess pieces. In the spirit realm, the human and monster spirits are already experimenting. The seeds have been planted. All that's left is to wait for the harvest. Li Yu took a sip from the wine bottle on the table and chuckled. Idly listening to the rise and fall of the sea, watching the clouds gather and disperse. The world is a chess piece in my hands, and all living beings rise and fall as my heart desires. Ha ha! I am the ruler of the heavens, the arbiter of fate and the heavenly law. My will is the will of the heavens. After coming to this world, Li Yu had set up a series of traps and spies. The world's situation was constantly changing, and the rise and fall of all living beings were in his hands. At this moment, Li Yu felt refreshed. His heart of the great Tao that ruled over all worlds had become even clearer. The path to ruling over all worlds is still very long. Although he had set up backups and planted spies during his transmigration, he was still far from truly ruling over these worlds. He hadn't even gotten his hands on these worlds yet, so the path to ruling over all worlds was still very long. Long? One has to have some goals, right? Li Yu drained the wine bottle in one gulp, then tossed it aside with a chuckle. No wonder the Buddha made the 48 great vows to become a Buddha. I bet he was worried that he'd be bored out of his mind after attaining eternity. He wanted to find something to do. If he obtained eternal life and had nothing to do, would he be bored to death? Ruling over all worlds is not only my heart, but also my hobby. Of course, I won't feel bored. So, it's time to move the chess pieces. Leaning against the soft couch, Li Yu half reclined. With a flick of his finger, a message was sent to the creation true spirit. Obviously, according to Li Yu's instructions, the creation true spirit would fool Li Feiyu again for a while. Chapter 336. Cape City. After obtaining the true techniques of the 5 elements, Li Feiyu and Han Li immersed themselves in cultivation. With the 5-colored divine light as the foundation and the fact that they had already cultivated one of the 5 elements' great Tao, it was easy for them to master these 5 cultivation techniques. The cultivation speed is a little slow. Li Feiyu shook his head and sighed. Cultivating the 5 arts simultaneously was much slower than cultivating a single one. Even if the spiritual realm had sufficient heaven-earth essence qi, it was impossible to improve all 5 cultivation techniques in a short time. Brotherly, cultivating all 5 elements is slow. After we replenished our 5 elements' spiritual roots, we absorbed the 5 elements' spiritual qi at the same time every time we breathe. Naturally, it's even slower. Han Li smiled at Li Feiyu. Actually, our progress is still okay. Brother Li has been improving by leaps and bounds. You haven't experienced the feeling of slow cultivation progress, so you naturally feel that it's slow. Brat, have you forgotten how you cultivated in the human realm? At this time, the creation true spirit, who had received Li Yu's instructions, immediately began to trick Li Feiyu. How do I cultivate in the human realm? Li Feiyu's eyes lit up. Senior creation, you mean, yes? Kill the enemy and refine the enemy's cultivation. Isn't it easy to increase your cultivation? The creation true spirit stroked his beard and smiled. We haven't explored the spiritual realm yet. We're not familiar with the situation, so we shouldn't act rashly. Li Feiyu was very interested in the creation true spirit's suggestion, but he wasn't stupid. If he killed people as soon as he arrived, he definitely wouldn't be able to survive. Idiot! Who asked you to kill humans? Aren't there many foreign races in the spiritual realm? They are enemies of the human race. The more you kill, the more respected you will be. Go ahead and kill them. Yes, yes, yes. Li Feiyu's eyes lit up, and he smiled while holding the hilt of his sword. The next day, Li Feiyu and Han Li took the initiative to join the heavenly guards of Deep Heaven City under the strange gazes of the cultivators in Cape City. They entered the front line to fight against the foreign races. Li Feiyu once again embarked on the path of killing monsters and leveling up. At this time, Bao Hua had also entered the demon realm. The demon realm is still the same. Stepping out of the void tunnel, Bao Hua looked up at the gloomy sky above his head and the dark red ground below his feet. He took a deep breath and opened his arms as if he was embracing the world. Devil realm. I Bao Hua am back. Pink rays of light blossomed around him. Flowers bloomed and withered, and the petals fell in profusion. The most important thing is to complete His Majesty Emperor Yu's mission after returning to the demon realm. Let's put everything else aside for the time being. Bao Hua looked up and glanced around. Her beautiful face showed a trace of coldness. Sister Liuji, back then you gathered everyone to attack me. Sister will settle accounts with you sooner or later. Raising his head and confirming the direction, Bao Hua used the purple gold talisman to break through the void and rush to the place where the Peace Worm Mother was sealed. Not long after, Bao Hua stopped at a big canyon in the middle of a barren mountain. His Majesty Emperor Yu was right. The Mother of Peace Worms is about to break out of its seal. Bao Hua flew above the canyon and saw the scene inside. His expression darkened and he sucked in a breath of cold air. In the unfathomably deep canyon below, endless purple mist roiled endlessly. Gusts of evil wind occasionally rushed out from the depths of the canyon. One touch was bone-chilling. The Mother of Peace Worms' aura has already begun to spread. Bao Hua tightly grasped the purple gold talisman in his hand. Fortunately, His Majesty sent me. Otherwise, if the Mother of Peace Worms' aura spread, all the worms in the demon realm would be infected and turned into peace worms. Once the peace worms reached a certain scale, it would be a calamity. He flew into the canyon and passed through the thick purple mist. After reaching the bottom of the canyon, a white light shone from below. This was a huge square with a radius of thousands of acres. The whole square was paved with white jade, and on the towering pillars around it, pearls were shining with a brilliant white light, illuminating the whole square. The seal's power has weakened to this extent? Arriving at the plaza, Bao Hua's gaze was fixed on the huge tunnel behind the plaza that led underground. At this moment, the cold wind whistled in the tunnel. Vaguely, one could even hear the hissing of worms. Damn it! The Mother of Peace Worms has already created peace worms. Bao Hua's expression was very grave. He looked at the purple gold talisman in his hand and sighed in relief. With His Majesty Emperor Yu's talisman, the Mother of Peace Worms won't be able to escape death. Passing through the plaza, Bao Hua stepped into the tunnel. Pink light bloomed in the tunnel, illuminating everything in the tunnel. Hiss hiss! In the tunnel ahead, more than 10 giant worms rushed out from the darkness. They were over 10 feet long and had a thick carapace. They had dozens of pairs of sharp limbs and a huge head that looked like a human face. They looked very terrifying. Human-faced peace worms? Bao Hua waved his hand and pink light flowed. Pink flowers flew out of his hand and landed on the human-faced peace worms. As the flowers landed on the peace worms, they instantly melted into their bodies and disappeared. Poof! With a series of soft explosive sounds, the bodies of the dozen or so huge closing worms emitted a pink light. Their bodies turned into petals that scattered in all directions. Let's hope there aren't too many of them. Walking along the tunnel, Bao Hua soon arrived at the edge of a huge plaza. There are so many of them? Looking at the plaza, Bao Hua could not help but take a deep breath. In the center of the plaza stood an ancient and majestic palace. Around the main hall was a square paved with bluestones. At this moment, the huge square was filled with thousands of human-faced blind worms. Hiss hiss! Seeing Bao Hua, thousands of human-faced peace worms roared and surged forward like a wave. Damn it! Bao Hua's expression turned cold. He clasped his hands together and a brilliant pink light shot into the sky. Black heavenly treasure essence, heavenly flower shower. Amidst the endless pink light, petals fell like raindrops. It was a beautiful sight to behold. However, in this endless beauty, there was a bleak, murderous intent. As the petals fell, the human-faced peace worms exploded. In an instant, all the human-faced peace worms in the plaza were killed by Bao Hua. However, Bao Hua was not happy at all. Instead, his expression turned grim. With such a big commotion, it's impossible not to alert the peace worm mother. It's going to be a tough battle. Taking a deep breath, Bao Hua raised the purple gold talisman in his hand and regained his confidence. With Emperor Yu's talisman, the peace worm mother will die no matter how strong it is. Bao Hua pushed open the heavy stone door of the palace and stepped into the palace. Recommended a hot-blooded book. Portable League of Legends shopping mall. It sells all kinds of powerful runes. Buy an experience rune and you can level up at home. No spiritual stones or elixirs. Leveling up is the best. Chapter 337. The spacious hall was completely empty. There was nothing there. The floor of the main hall was engraved with countless mysterious runes. Each of the runes shone with spiritual light, forming a huge formation. At this moment, the spiritual light within the formation had dimmed, as if it would shatter at any moment. The sealing formation's power has indeed weakened. Bao Hua looked at the formation in the hall and sighed. He raised the purple gold talisman and channeled his spiritual energy into it. Hum! Purple golden light waves rippled out, and the entire sealing magic array let out a trembling sound. Then, a 10-feet-wide passageway was opened up. This is the void passage that leads directly to the place where the Dark Worm Mother is sealed? To be able to change this ancient sealing formation at will, His Majesty Emperor Yu is truly remarkable. Raising the purple gold talisman, Bao Hua stepped into the void passage. Purple gold light flowed, and the world changed. In front of him was a vast ocean. The pale blue surface stretched as far as the eye could see. Waves of damp sea breeze blew, carrying with it a faint fishy smell. The ancient sealing ground actually sealed an entire sea region? Even with Bao Hua's knowledge, he was amazed by such a grand feat. What shocked Bao Hua even more was that in the air above the ocean, there was a huge talisman formation that covered the entire sky. This formation was made up of countless runes of different sizes. Within the glittering glyph formation, a gigantic white worm the size of a mountain was quietly crouching there. This worm was as white as jade, and its large and fat body looked like a giant silkworm from afar. At this moment, the worm seemed to be in a deep sleep. As its body rose and fell, golden runes flickered, and rays of golden light flowed endlessly. This is the Dark Worm Mother? Bao Hua raised the purple gold talisman in his hand with a grave expression. He poured his spiritual energy into it, and the talisman burst out with a beam of light that shot toward the Dark Worm Mother. Bang! The mountain-like Dark Worm Mother exploded into specks of light and scattered like fireflies. It's that simple? Even though he had full faith in His Majesty Emperor Yu's purple gold talisman, Bao Hua didn't expect it to be so simple. This was the mother of peace worms? They couldn't even withstand a single blow. He didn't have the legendary aura of invincibility. Aura? No. That's an illusion. Bao Hua was startled. He quickly raised his guard. Boom! Huge waves suddenly surged up from the vast ocean beneath his feet. A ferocious, ruthless, all-destroying, all-devouring aura soared into the sky. The entire sealed space was filled with howling winds, flashing lightning, and rumbling thunder. The violent aura was earth-shattering. Boom! A huge wave suddenly rose from the vast ocean. As the wave rolled, a huge, beautiful, and cruel worm broke through the wave and soared into the sky. The insect's body was sparkling and translucent, as if it was carved out of crystal. The insect's body flickered with 5 colored runes that were faintly discernible. It was exceptionally beautiful. 4 pairs of milky white cicada wings stretched out from the back of its enormous body. As the wings flapped, 5 colored light flowed, causing the air to tremble and the wind to roar. However, the head of the worm was that of a human. It was a beautiful woman with silver hair and silver eyes, a cold expression on her face. Below the woman's waist was the enormous body of the worm. Compared to the giant worm's body, the woman's figure was no different from a normal person's. It was as if half a human had grown out of the worm's body. Lowly demon slave of the lower realm, how dare you disturb my cultivation? You're courting death. The silver-haired, silver-eyed woman glared at Bao Hua. Her cold face was filled with hatred and anger. Demon slave of the lower realm? Bao Hua raised an eyebrow when he heard this. This wasn't because he was embarrassed by the insult. It was because the term lower realm was very special. Only those from the world of immortals would call other realms lower realms. The mother of peace worms devoured all things and destroyed worlds. To it, all worlds were food. There would be no difference between the upper realm and the lower realm. But now, the mother of peace worms actually said the words, lower realm. This was a problem. You're not the mother of peace worms. Who are you? Bao Hua stared at the mother of peace worms and shouted in anger. Mother of peace worms? Ha 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 ha. The silver-haired woman laughed loudly. The mother of peace worms is long dead. Back then, I descended to the lower realm to clear out the worms, but because the void shattered, I could only stay in this realm. The silver-haired woman's face was ferocious, as if her heart contained endless resentment. I was heavily injured in the battle with the mother of peace worms. My immortal body was damaged, and only my soul remained. I'm a true immortal of the upper realm, but I was trapped in the filthy lower realm for tens of thousands of years. As she spoke, the silver-haired woman pointed around. Look at this filthy world, look at this turbid chi of heaven and earth. The lower realm is filthy, filthy, and unbearable to look at. So, the silver-haired woman turned to look at the lower half of her worm body and sneered. So I possessed the mother of peace worm's body with my soul and used it to reconstruct my immortal body. The mother of peace worm's body is extremely strong, allowing me to refine a true immortal body and break through the realm to return to the world of immortals. But the silver-haired woman turned her head to glare at Bao Hua. Her silver eyes were filled with endless hatred. But you lowly demon slave from the lower realm, how dare you disturb my reconstruction? You're courting death. So that's how it is. Bao Hua nodded with a smile, completely unfazed by the silver-haired woman's threat. Demon slave, you're not afraid? You're still so calm? The silver-haired woman glanced at Bao Hua and sneered. With your strength, you're indeed one of the top figures in this filthy lower realm. Too bad. Why do you think I wasted so much time talking to you? Since you disturbed my reconstruction, I naturally had to take the time to recuperate. If you'd attacked from the start, I would have been in trouble. Now? The silver-haired woman stretched out her hand smugly. Demon slave, you're too stupid. I'm going to grind your bones to dust. Heh heh. Bao Hua smiled at the silver-haired woman and curled her lip in disdain. Why do you think I wasted so much time talking to you? Because. Bao Hua waved her hand lightly. Because I'm also gathering power. Taichu Motetsu, freeze heaven and earth. A beam of cold light shot out of the purple talisman, exploding with boundless frost. Taichu Motetsu, the origin of all coldness between heaven and earth. When the world returns to ruins, it's the ultimate coldness after all things die. This beam of cold light seemed to freeze even time and space. The silver-haired woman didn't even have time to react before she was turned into an ice sculpture by the cold light. The purple talisman flew out of Bao Hua's hand and an invisible ripple swept out. The frozen silver-haired woman vanished without a trace. Phew! Bao Hua let out a long breath, her face pale. His Majesty Emperor Yu's talisman is indeed powerful, but it consumes too much spiritual energy. With Bao Hua's spiritual energy as the foundation, exchanging for Taichu Motetsu's frost energy from the system would definitely consume a lot of spiritual energy. Liu indicated that this was already the cost price. If he didn't increase the price, it would be a loss. Chapter 338. This is. The moment Bao Hua used Taichu Motetsu to destroy the Dark Worm Mother, the commotion alarmed another ancient existence in the sealed land. That slut, the one who plotted against me and possessed the Dark Worm Mother, was actually killed? On the other side of the sealed land, in a huge stone forest, on top of a blood-red altar, an extremely surprised voice suddenly rang out. Back then, 2 of us true immortals descended to eliminate the dark worms. Unexpectedly, a great battle resulted in both sides suffering heavy losses. Even worse, the void passage back to the world of immortals was destroyed. The voice on the blood-colored altar carried deep resentment. For tens of thousands of years, I've remained in the lower realm, struggling at death's door. That slut was actually afraid that I would fight with her for the Dark Worm Mother's body, so she ambushed me. I had to seal myself with a formation to prevent my soul from being destroyed. Now, that slut has actually been killed? Ha 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 ha, how satisfying! Wild laughter sounded from the blood-colored altar. That slut's abilities and the Dark Worm Mother's body aren't something that ordinary people can deal with. It seems that the person who came is no ordinary person. The shadow on the blood-red altar flickered a few times, and a gloomy and cold laughter rang out. As long as this person's aptitude is passable, after this old man possesses the body, it won't be difficult for me to cultivate anew and ascend. Compared to that slut possessing the body, this old man's choice is the most suitable. A faint light rose from the blood-colored altar, and a voice with a holy and dignified aura sounded from the sealed land. After tens of thousands of years, has the scourge of the Dark Worm Mother finally been eliminated? This immortal's body has been sealed and suppressed to this day, finally completing its mission. Even if my soul is about to return to heaven and earth, I can still smile in the underworld. This voice naturally attracted Bao Hua's attention. Legend has it that 2 true immortals descended to eliminate the dark worms. In the end, they could only seal and suppress them, unable to kill them. I'm afraid something happened between the 2 immortals. The silver-haired woman possessed the Dark Worm Mother and brought great danger to the demon world. Naturally, it was the evil side. One was evil, and the other was the one who had sealed the Caterpillar Mother for tens of thousands of years. Naturally, they were righteous. That seemed to be the case. However, Bao Hua, as one of the ancestors of the Devil Realm, had experienced all kinds of schemes, betrayals, and ambushes for countless years. Naturally, she was not an innocent little girl. The boundary between good and evil was actually not that clear. Lord True Immortal, for you to speak at this time, you must be trying to lure me over. Bao Hua felt that he had recovered about 70% to 80% of his spiritual power. He grabbed the purple gold talisman and looked in the direction of the voice with a smile on his face. Since you want me to go over, then let's go take a look. Yu Huang's talisman gave her a huge boost of confidence. In front of the power that could freeze everything in the world, even immortals would tremble in fear. Bao Hua flew out from the sea of the sealed land and arrived in a barren stone forest. Even though he was confident, Bao Hua was very cautious and did not directly enter the stone forest. He secretly poured his spiritual power into the purple gold talisman and prepared the Taichu Motetsu Chi that could freeze everything in the world. With a trump card in hand, Bao Hua stepped into the stone forest. This stone forest seemed to be a huge formation. Following the stone forest's path, Bao Hua soon arrived at the center of the stone forest. In the center of the stone forest, there were 8 gigantic bronze pillars. These 8 pillars were simple and heavy, with countless mysterious runes engraved on them. At the top of each of the 8 pillars, there was a simple blood-colored bronze lamp. Of these ancient lamps, only one was still lit. The other 7 were cold and dead, as if they had been extinguished for many years. Even the only lamp that was still lit only had a small flame the size of a bean swaying, as if it would be extinguished at any time. In the center of the 8 bronze pillars, there was a blood-red altar that was more than 100 feet tall. On the altar was a pitch-black alms bowl. Wisps of black chi lingered on the alms bowl, looking very sinister and terrifying. This is the true immortal's sealing formation? It doesn't look like an immortal at all, but full of demonic chi? Bao Hua smiled and walked over to the bronze pillar. Just as he reached the bronze pillar, Bao Hua stopped. At this time, a voice came from the alms bowl on the altar. Was it you who destroyed the Dark Worm Mother? Very good. You did well. The Dark Worm Mother is completely dead, eliminating a hidden danger that could destroy the world. Your merit is boundless. The voice from the black alms bowl praised Bao Hua, his words carrying a sense of compassion. Senior, you flatter me. Bao Hua does not deserve such praise. Bao Hua also wanted to see what this true immortal wanted, so he responded. You deserve it. The voice from the alms bowl had a somewhat sacred aura. Destroying the Dark Worm Mother and saving the world is a merit. As a true immortal, I naturally have the virtue of benefiting the world. At this point, the black alms bowl emitted a wisp of immortal chi, as if there was a faint fluctuation observing Bao Hua. The body of the black heavenly treasure tree has unlimited potential. Peak Mahayana cultivation, good foundation. But it's a woman? Forget it, as a true immortal, how can we be entangled in the difference between a man and a woman? The person in the alms bowl was very satisfied with Bao Hua's aptitude. The sacred voice sounded again. Demon girl of the lower world, the Dark Worm Mother has died, and my mission has been completed. Lingering at death's door until now, it's time for my soul to return to heaven and earth. A faint sigh sounded. The voice from the alms bowl seemed to carry some regret. I have cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years, but before I die, all that I have learned cannot be lost. Young girl, your virtue is profound, and I am comforted. The voice from the alms bowl was even more sacred, grand, and righteous. I have 72 immortal spells, 18 true teachings of the great Tao. Young girl, are you willing to inherit my mantle and protect this world? So that's how it is. Bao Hua's footsteps stopped at the side of the bronze pillar, and he was unwilling to take another step forward. Senior true immortal, Bao Hua has cultivated for tens of thousands of years. Although I may not be knowledgeable, I can still understand many things. As he spoke, Bao Hua raised the purple gold talisman in his hand. Senior, next time when you want to deceive people, change your words. Inheriting the mantle and protecting the world, even the hot-blooded youngsters don't believe it anymore. What? A cry of shock and anger sounded from the alms bowl. Taichu Motetsu, freeze all things. A ray of cold light shot up, and the cold air froze the entire blood-red altar into solid ice. An invisible wave swept across, and even the bronze pillar, blood-red altar, and black alms bowl disappeared. Humph! Although I don't recognize all the formations on the altar, I still recognize the imprisonment runes. You really think I don't know anything? You think you can fool me? Bao Hua laughed coldly, and with a flick of his sleeves, he flew into the air. Chapter 339. Not bad. Liu nodded in satisfaction when he saw the new loot in the resource vault. The knowledge and cultivation insights of these two true immortals will be very helpful for me to verify my Qi refinement immortal ascension art. Liu glanced at the resource vault and began to process the loot. System, scan the memories of the two true immortals and record them into the resource vault. The memories of the two true immortals were the real rewards. These two true immortals had cultivated in the immortal realm for hundreds of thousands of years and naturally knew a lot about cultivation. Scan complete. Record complete. The system quickly completed Liu's instructions and recorded the memories of the two true immortals into the resource vault. Organize the information according to cultivation experience and knowledge. Send the information to me when you're done. A moment later, the system sent all the information to Liu. Countless pieces of information merged into Liu's divine soul. The powerful divine soul and powerful calculation ability of the Sun God kept on collecting and organizing the information. An hour later, Liu heaved a long sigh and finished organizing all the information. The immortal realm is so big? It's boundless. Seeing the two true immortals' understanding of the immortal world, Liu's greatest impression was big. According to the memories of the two true immortals, they came from the Northern Frost immortal realm and were inspectors sent by the Northern Frost immortal court to the Golden Han immortal palace. The Northern Frost immortal realm was under the control of the Northern Frost immortal emperor. The Northern Frost immortal emperor had thousands of immortal palaces, including the Golden Han Immortal Palace and the Northern Underworld Immortal Palace. Each immortal palace was in charge of the sect, family, and itinerant cultivators in its territory. The palace lord of the Immortal Palace was a disciple of the most powerful sect in the area. He was in charge of all the affairs in the Immortal Palace. The Immortal Court would send inspectors to inspect the affairs of the Immortal Palace and monitor the behavior of the Palace Lord. The Northern Frost immortal realm was vast and boundless. Even as inspectors, the two true immortals were only familiar with the area around the Golden Han Immortal Palace. According to the memories of the two inspectors, the Northern Frost immortal realm was vast and boundless. Even as inspectors, they didn't know how big the Northern Frost immortal realm was. More importantly, the Northern Frost immortal realm was only one of the thousands of immortal realms in the immortal realm. If that was the case, how big was the immortal realm? The corner of Liu's mouth twitched. All right, at least I can pretend to be an immortal emperor to fool Li Feiyu. Even if Li Feiyu ascends to the immortal world in the future, he won't have to worry about being exposed. Putting aside the geographical environment of the immortal world, Liu focused his attention on the two true immortals' comprehension of cultivation. True immortal, void spirit, clear origin, grand heavenly immortal, grand unity, Tao ancestor. There are so many realms above the true immortal realm? These two true immortals have cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years, but they're still only at the true immortal realm. It seems that the cultivation of immortals is also very difficult. Liu smiled and shook his head when he saw this information. Let's not worry about that for now. The most important thing is the cultivation method. Let's see what the path of cultivation of immortals is like. Calming himself down, Liu carefully studied the cultivation methods of the two true immortals. After a while, he furrowed his brows. The immortal path of this world is actually like this? With spirit realm as the foundation? In the memories of the two true immortals, there was more than one cultivation method. There was an existence called mystic immortal that focused on body refinement. They refined their bodies until they were indestructible and immortal. The female immortal who had possessed the mother of peace worms wanted to use this method to reconstruct the mystic immortal true extreme body and return to the immortal world. There was also an immortal sect called the 100 Tempering Mountain that focused on refining artifacts. They refined extremely powerful immortal artifacts, and then fused with the artifacts to become immortal. However, the most mainstream and orthodox cultivation method was to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth, condense one's own laws, and build spirit realm as the foundation. Liu could not use the body refinement method. He had already reached greater mastery of the sacred body and could be reborn from a drop of blood. He could transform into anything and even shatter the vacuum. The path of a mystic immortal was at most a reference to enrich the body refinement method. The method of refining treasures was very useful. Liu had been studying the method of turning Dharma treasures into talismans and fusing them into the body. With this knowledge, it would be more convenient to modify the Dharma treasures of other worlds in the future. However, this was only a technique, not a Tao. He could use it for a while, but he could not use it as his main cultivation method. What Liu was truly concerned about was building spirit realm and evolving the path of cultivation of heaven and earth. Evolve a small world, and your existence is based on this small world. As long as the spirit realm is not destroyed, you will be immortal. It's actually like this. Liu furrowed his brows tightly. Because this path of immortality was still quite different from his path of qi refinement. This path of immortality to build spirit realm is too limited by the environment. The method of building spirit realm and evolving heaven and earth in this world required the support of a huge amount of heaven and earth essence qi. Only in the immortal world with abundant heaven and earth essence qi could a complete spirit realm. Bao Hua also knew this method, and could also evolve a prototype spirit realm in the spirit world. However, as the foundation of immortality, it was impossible to do in a place like the spirit world. No wonder all the cultivators in the lower realms aim to ascend to the immortal world. Because to evolve spirit realm and become immortal, one can only do so in the immortal world. Liu shook his head with a wry smile. This path of cultivation was meaningless to him. However, to build spirit realm and evolve the laws of heaven and earth, there is still some reference value. Liu's yang spirit path was to evolve heaven and earth. This path could be combined with the yang spirit path to enrich the yang spirit's ability to evolve heaven and earth. However, this was the only value. Liu could not walk this path of immortality that was affected by the environment. Traveling through the heavens and the heaven and earth essence qi in each world was different. This method was not useful after leaving the immortal world, and was meaningless to Liu. Therefore, my qi refinement path to immortality still needs to be tested. In Liu's view, building spirit realm and evolving a small world did not conflict with his qi refinement path to immortality. Take the 5 elements Great Tao as an example. If I cultivate the true burning fire technique and cultivate myself into the innate flame origin, I can also evolve a flame spirit realm. Liu took a deep breath. My path must be correct. Stealing his confidence, Liu cast aside the memories of the 2 true immortals and turned to look at the resource vault. These things still need to be taken care of. Liu looked at the mother of peace worms and the blood-colored altar surrounded by 8 copper pillars and nodded with a smile. 8 copper pillars, 8 copper lamps, and a black alms bowl. They are all immortal items and have some value. Although it wasn't on the same level as Liu's immortal flame and immortal qi, it was still an extraordinary material, so he could make use of it. System: break down the copper pillars, altar, and alms bowl into materials and store them. After dealing with the copper pillars and altar, Liu looked at the remnant soul of the true immortal and shook his head. Forget it, you are useless. Just break it down and store it as pure soul power. And so, this true immortal was casually disposed of by Liu. Chapter 340. The Dark Worm Mother is quite useful. After dealing with the true immortal on the altar, Liu looked at the Dark Worm Mother. TSK, the Dark Worm Mother has taken over. What's so good about being a worm? I'll give you a better one. Seeing the silver-haired woman who had taken over the Dark Worm Mother, Liu smiled and waved his hand. System, erase the silver-haired woman's soul memories. An invisible wave swept over, and the silver-haired woman on the Dark Worm Mother's head was dazed, her soul memories wiped clean. You can't keep your past memories, I'll give you a brand new beginning. Liu chuckled. System, decompose the Dark Worm Mother and extract its pure life force. In the resource warehouse, multicolored light flowed, and the huge crystal body of the Dark Worm Mother instantly melted into a ball of sparkling liquid. Very good. The Dark Worm Mother has devoured countless small worlds, so the life force it contains is not small. Liu was very satisfied with the boundless life force that came out of the Dark Worm Mother's decomposition. Didn't I also get a phoenix skeleton? How can there not be a phoenix when a true dragon has come out? Liu smiled and waved his hand. The sparkling and translucent phoenix skeleton flew out of the resource warehouse and floated in front of Liu. System, use the phoenix's soul as the foundation and transfer the soul power of the true immortal on the altar to reconstruct the silver-haired woman's soul. There were 4,000 divine beasts in the store, and Liu had already scanned the soul structure of these divine beasts. Multicolored light flowed as the soul power of the true immortal on the altar entered the silver-haired woman's soul that had already been cleansed, and was reconstructed according to the phoenix's soul structure. Of course, during this process, fictitious memories were also born. The mark of loyalty was also an essential standard configuration. Not long after, a phoenix soul phantom was born from the multicolored light. Very good. Seeing this phoenix phantom, Liu smiled and waved his hand, taking out the phoenix soul and inserting it into the phoenix skeleton in front of him. System, transfer the Dark Worm Mother's life force and reconstruct the phoenix's body with the bloodline information scanned from the phoenix skeleton. Boundless multicolored light flowed as boundless life force continuously fused into the phoenix skeleton. The sparkling and translucent phoenix skeleton blossomed with a dazzling brilliance. Streaks of blood spread across the phoenix skeleton, and an endless amount of vitality surged. Bang! 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 The sound of a strong heartbeat began to sound, and the flesh on the phoenix skeleton continued to grow. The entire skeleton was already filled with flesh and blood. Feathers grew out one after another, and long feathers stretched out one after another. The Peace Worm Mother's immense life force continued to pour in, causing the 5-colored feathers to grow even faster. His aura became even more vast and majestic. Clang! Clang! The phoenixes flew together, chirping loudly. A loud phoenix cry resounded through the cloud. Clang! Clang! The clear sound echoed in all directions. A vast and majestic aura swept out like a raging tide. Winds and clouds surged between the heavens and the earth as a huge force shook the void. The aura covered the sky and earth. All the true dragons on Dragon Island felt like a huge mountain was pressing down on their heads, making it hard for them to breathe. Multicolored clouds swirled, and its wings danced. A humongous colorful phoenix that was about 1,000 feet in length was spreading its wings and soaring in the enormous palace. It had a swallow's chin, a chicken's beak, a stork's belly, and a mandarin's cheeks. It did not perch on anything that was not a parasol tree, it did not eat anything that was not a bamboo, and it did not drink anything that was not a spring. This was a phoenix. The birth of a phoenix shook the heavens and the earth. The Peace Worm Mother had devoured countless small worlds, so how much power had it accumulated? Even though it was heavily injured by the joint forces of 2 true immortals, and even had its soul destroyed by the silver-haired woman. However, at this moment, with the power of the 2 true immortal souls, the phoenix skeleton, and the Peace Worm Mother's life force, These forces gathered into one and reconstructed the phoenix's body. The moment this rainbow phoenix was born, it had the power of a true immortal. It was a phoenix true spirit that was born at the true immortal level. Not bad. Not bad. Liu chuckled and nodded with a face full of joy. Boom, a multicolored light burst forth, and the rainbow phoenix turned gracefully, turning into a human form and landing in front of Liu. This was a young girl wearing a multicolored dress and a phoenix crown. Her appearance was delicate and beautiful, and her bearing was graceful and luxurious. Sai greets the Lord. The woman transformed from the phoenix came in front of Liu and bowed. Get up. Liu smiled and nodded. I still have some subordinates in this world. Follow me out to meet the others. Yes. Sai bowed and accepted the order. She followed beside Liu and walked out of the Dragon Palace together. In Sai's memories, she was His Majesty Emperor Yu's maid. At this moment, His Majesty Emperor Yu had descended to the lower realm as a dragon monarch. As a maid, Sai naturally had to follow by his side. After Emperor Yu descended to the lower realm, he indeed summoned her. Walking out of the Dragon Palace, a large group of figures had already gathered outside the main hall. The phoenix's birth just now had caused quite a commotion. Naturally, it had alarmed many people. However, because the commotion was caused by His Majesty Emperor Yu's location, Audiobook and the other elders of the dragon race did not dare to casually barge in. Greetings, Your Majesty. At this moment, seeing Liu come out with a woman in a multicolored dress beside him, although the dragon race had some doubts, they did not dare to say anything. Get up. Liu smiled and waved his hand, indicating for everyone to get up. Come, let me introduce you. Liu pointed at Tsai, who was standing behind him. This is Tsai, my maid. As he spoke, Liu pointed at the dragon race below. Tsai, these are my subordinates in this world. Get to know each other. Maid? Seeing this girl with a boundless aura and a graceful and luxurious temperament, and feeling the familiar aura in her bloodline, the dragon race was dumbfounded. This was clearly a phoenix. A true immortal phoenix, true spirit. Such an existence was only His Majesty's maid? His Majesty was indeed the ancestor of the dragon race. He was indeed incomparably powerful. Greetings, Miss Tsai. A true immortal level existence, even if she was His Majesty's maid, could not be underestimated. The dragon race hurriedly greeted Tsai. Tsai greets everyone. At the same time as the dragon race greeted, Tsai also greeted the dragon race. Alright. The commotion just now was caused by me summoning Tsai to the lower realm. You don't have to panic. Liu casually made up a story, and the dragon race naturally did not have the slightest suspicion. With His Majesty's remarkable ability, summoning a true immortal to the lower realm was a very common thing. After understanding the root of the matter, the dragon race took their leave. The so-called lower realm, Tsai's birth was actually very similar to the lower realm. The cultivation of a true immortal, appearing in the lower realm, was not much different from an immortal descending to the lower realm. They were also affected by the power of the realm. However, the so-called power of the realm in this world had the greatest impact on those cultivators who used the spirit domain as their foundation. For true immortal level true spirits like true dragons and phoenixes who used their own bodies as their foundation, the influence of the power of the realm was really nothing. When Liu was reconstructing the body of the phoenix just now, he had also discovered it. The cultivation path of the true spirits in the immortal world was similar to that of the Xian immortal, who cultivated the body. In other words, the Xian immortal body refinement method was originally adapted from the cultivation method of the true spirit. So, my current strength, the power of a great success sacred body, is considered very powerful in the immortal world. After comparing Tsai's strength and referring to the memories of the two true immortals, Liu found that his great success sacred body cultivation, coupled with the Sun Spirit Realm Divine Soul, was already an extremely tyrannical existence in the immortal world. The immortal world of this world is still a bit interesting. Liu looked up at the sky and chuckled. Chapter 341. Of course, Liu had no plans to go to the immortal world for the time being. In the memories of the two perfected immortals, after the void shattered, communication between the immortal world and the lower realm became very difficult. Even with Liu's strength, unless he ascended to the immortal world, he would not be able to find the location of the immortal world in the vast void. It would be too funny to get lost in the void just to see the scenery. Sai, since you're cultivating the body tempering technique, I have a cultivation technique that is very suitable for you. With that, Liu flicked his finger and imparted the acupoint technique of the human immortal martial path to her. With Sai's phoenix body, she could cultivate the human immortal martial path again until she could transform and shatter the void. She could also be a great help to Liu in the future. Thank you, Supremacy. Seeing the mysterious cultivation technique in her mind, Sai was overjoyed. Rebirth from a drop of blood, the ability to transform was really too powerful. After returning to the main hall and sitting down, Liu looked at the situation of the cultivation of the 5 elements through the surveillance he had set up in the 3 realms of the human race and the 7 lands of the demon race. 10 years had passed, and most of the cultivators of the human and demon races had changed to cultivating the 5 elements Tao. Many people had broken through because of this. However, the substantial breakthrough that Liu was looking forward to was still far away in the future. The progress is still very average. Liu shook his head helplessly, very dissatisfied with this progress. Liu was very dissatisfied with this progress, but the cultivators of the human and demon races were all wild with joy. In just 10 years there was an obvious breakthrough in their cultivation. Compared to the situation where they could not make any progress for hundreds or thousands of years, it was really too smooth. Unfortunately, Liu did not care about this progress at all. The main purpose of entering this world is naturally to cultivate and become an immortal. But it's not good to take too long. Liu touched his chin. Casting the net widely and focusing on cultivation cannot be ignored. Then let's go hand in hand. Casting the net widely was naturally referring to the 5 elements Tao that the human and demon races commonly cultivated. Li Feiyu and Han Li were naturally considered to be focused on cultivation. The creation true spirit has already tricked Li Feiyu into leveling up near Deep Heaven City. Don't worry about it for now. Liu looked up in the direction of the spirit realm and chuckled. It seems that Mo Jianli and the Silver Wolf ancestor are also worth investing in. Both Mo Jianli and Patriarch Silver Wolf were Grand Ascension stage cultivators, so they should be able to make breakthroughs in no time. Thinking of this, Liu smiled and stood up. This Emperor will bestow upon you a fortuitous encounter. Liu turned his head to look at the resource vault and took out a piece of purple immortal copper. The purple immortal copper extracted from the 8 pillars was refined copper from the immortal world. Although it wasn't a particularly powerful material, it was enough to fool the cultivators of the spirit realm. He waved his hand, and a streak of purplish-gold divine light revolved around the copper block. The copper block instantly transformed into 2 palm-sized talismans. For a Grand Ascension stage cultivator like Mo Jianli, normal items won't be enough to improve his cultivation base. But what about immortal pills? From the memories of the 2 perfected immortals, Liu had obtained many methods to refine immortal pills. With the methods to refine immortal pills, he could use the resource vault's ability to refine immortal pills. If he had the materials, he could synthesize them directly. If he didn't have the materials, he could use energy to exchange for them. Mo Jianli is the most powerful cultivator in the human race. It shouldn't be difficult for him to gather resources, right? If he could redeem immortal pills and consume them, his cultivation base would skyrocket. No one would be able to resist that, right? Li Yu chuckled and waved his hand. The words Elixir Palace of the Immortal Mansion instantly appeared on the 2 tokens. 4 simple and profound immortal characters appeared on the tokens. System: add an exchange function to these 2 talismans. Show me all the immortal pills in the memories of the 2 perfected immortals. An invisible wave swept across the 2 talismans, and an exchange function was added to the 2 talismans. Li Yu scanned the 2 talismans with his divine sense and activated them instantly. Buzz. There was a soft buzzing sound. Immortal clouds swirled, and the image of a luxurious palace appeared in front of him. Immortal Mansion Pill Hall. On the plaque of the palace, 4 golden words shone brightly. The door of the palace was wide open. Inside the palace, endless light flowed. Immortal pills with vast auras and immense spiritual power flowed like a river of stars. True Soul Pill, Immortal Grade. Effect: increase cultivation base, improve the quality of one's soul, and break through cultivation bottleneck. Can be used by cultivators below the perfected immortal realm. Flying Immortal Pill, Immortal Grade. Effect: increase cultivation base greatly and increase the chances of surviving the tribulation. Nirvana Pill, Immortal Grade. Indestructible Gene Dan, Immortal Grade. One by one, the pills flew past, and their introductions appeared in front of him. Behind the introductions of these pills, there were also the materials needed to exchange for them. The first thing listed was, of course, the immortal spirit herbs needed to refine these pills. These immortal spirit herbs were naturally not available in the spiritual realm. But there was a list of substitute herbs and their quantities. With the dragon race's library as a foundation, Li Yu was already familiar with 99% of the spirit herbs in the spiritual realm. The substitute herbs in the spiritual realm were somewhat similar to the herbs in the immortal realm. This way, it would look more presentable. Very good. Looking at this scene, Li Yu was very satisfied. Although these were all virtual images, they looked very real and were enough to fool people. Now, I just have to find an opportunity to let them obtain this opportunity. With a wave of his hand, Li Yu dispersed the images and handed 2 tokens to Kai. Kai, take these 2 tokens and make a trip to the human territory of the spiritual realm. Li Yu flicked his finger, and a light spot fell into Kai's mind, transmitting the map of the human territory of the spiritual realm to her. Kai, go to the human territory and insert these 2 tokens into the 5 Elements Mountain. Then, reveal your true form and circle around the 5 Elements Mountain 3 times. At this point, Li Yu waved his hand and a light screen appeared, revealing Mo Jianli and the Silver Wolf Ancestor. When these 2 people arrive, they will negotiate with you. At this time, you can come back with a few words of persuasion. Yes. Kai took the token, bowed to Li Yu, and then left. Haha, the phoenix will not land in a place without treasures. With Kai here, it will be even scarier. I don't believe that you won't fall for it. Looking at Kai's leaving figure, Li Yu smiled and shook his head. I have to give people opportunities again. Sigh, this trip of mine is a losing business. Of course, Li Yu knew that the main goal of coming to this world was to cultivate and become an immortal. For this goal, all the efforts were worth it. Moreover, who said that there was no profit? Even for Li Feiyu, Li Yu had to take a cut, not to mention Mo Jianli. It was just that the profit was not as great as before, which made Li Yu have the illusion that he was making a loss. Not to mention other things, just the fact that he had Phoenix Tsai and the entire dragon race of the Dragon Island as his subordinates was already a big gain. Mo Jianli and the Silver Wolf Ancestor, I hope that you can improve your cultivation as soon as possible. Otherwise, I can only let the alien race attack the human territory to exert pressure and force you to break through. Li Yu shrugged. Li Feiyu's progress also needs to be faster. Creation True Spirit, let him wander in the alien race's territory quickly. As soon as Li Yu's thought was born, a huge change occurred in the world. The readers urged me to write more. The author was happy but also embarrassed. After the new year, I have to go to work. I can only find time to write every day. I can't write more often. I hope everyone can understand. Again, I will definitely write 3 chapters a day. I can't guarantee that I will write more often. You have to give me time to write, right? Please. Chapter 342. 5 Elements Mountain, Human Territory. Since the birth of 5 Elements Mountain 10 years ago, the great Tao of the 5 elements bestowed by Taoist Master Xianhuang had spread throughout the world. 5 Elements Mountain had also become a holy land of the human race. Countless cultivators of both the human and demon races, who were grateful for Taoist Master Xuanhuang's virtue, spontaneously built a huge palace under 5 Elements Mountain. Xianhuang's Sacred Palace was the name of the palace under 5 Elements Mountain. People regarded the birth of 5 Elements Mountain as a sacred ceremony to worship Taoist Master Xianhuang. At this moment, the annual worship of 5 Elements Mountain began again. In Xianhuang's Sacred Palace, green smoke rose in spirals and a strange fragrance filled the air. Xuanhuang's virtue protects all living beings. Outside the palace, a large group of cultivators who were grateful for Taoist Master Xuanhuang's virtue bowed to 5 Elements Mountain. Boom! At this moment, a loud sound came from the void. 5 colored smoke billowed up, and a colorful phoenix that was 300 meters long broke through the air. The colorful phoenix flew across the sky and circled around the huge 5 Elements Mountain with a cry. The phoenix's cry resounded through the sky, and its mighty aura covered the sky and earth. Its wings stretched out, and its feathers fluttered in the wind. Its noble posture and majestic power that could intimidate all things in the world were extremely shocking. Phoenix? This power? Immortal level? An immortal level true spirit? A true spirit phoenix? What is it trying to do? Seeing the colorful phoenix circling around 5 Elements Mountain and feeling the power that could intimidate heaven and earth, the cultivators' expressions changed drastically. The news that Taoist Master Xianhuang was the Dragon King had spread widely. Even if they didn't say it out loud, they had a tacit understanding in their hearts. At this moment, a phoenix had come to 5 Elements Mountain? 5 Elements Mountain was left behind by the Dragon King, and now a phoenix had come? What did it want? True dragons and phoenixes were the most powerful true spirits. When people casually thought about it, it was easy to think of the fight between the dragon and the phoenix. 5 Elements Mountain can't be destroyed. The cultivators present sent out messages one after another, reporting the news of the phoenix's arrival on 5 Elements Mountain. The phoenix's descent did not cause a huge commotion. It was not as earth-shattering as Li Yu's arrival. However, the arrival of a true immortal level existence would naturally cause a huge commotion. Although the guardian formation of the 3 realms and 7 earths couldn't stop a true immortal, it still had the ability to warn them. Mo Jianli and Silver Wolf Old Ancestor were already on their way when the news was sent out. First, a true dragon descends, and now an immortal phoenix. This is really... Mo Jianli shook his head helplessly. I hope this phoenix won't be too hard to talk to. The phoenix came directly to the 5 Elements Mountain. She must be here for the Dragon Monarch. They shouldn't make things difficult for us. The Silver Wolf Ancestor shook his head. I don't think such an existence would attack us. Even if it doesn't attack us, if it destroys the 5 Elements Mountain, the Dragon King will lose face. Mo Jianli sighed. The Dragon King has done me such a great favor. If the Phoenix really wants to destroy the 5 Elements Mountain, we can only stop it even if we know that we are no match for it. The Dragon Monarch will definitely notice the arrival of the Phoenix. After we hold them off for a while, the Dragon Monarch might come. At that time, we won't have to worry anymore. The two talked as they flew through the air. Soon, they arrived at the 5 Elements Mountain. It is indeed a true immortal phoenix. Seeing the colorful phoenix flying in front of him and feeling the majestic aura of the phoenix, Mo Jianli's heart skipped a beat. Your Excellency Phoenix, may I know why you've graced us with your presence? Is there anything we can do for you? Flying in front of the phoenix, Mo Jianli bowed to it. It was definitely not wise to fight with a true immortal phoenix. Mo Jianli planned to calm it down first. Yes, Your Excellency Phoenix. There is also a black phoenix tribe in our tribe. We are related to you. If you need anything, just let us know. The silver wolf ancestor also bowed respectfully. Both of them were experienced. They wouldn't be hot-blooded like the hot-blooded young man who would attack the phoenix without thinking. They planned to pretend to be polite and delay the time. Humph. The phoenix snorted and turned to stare at the two. The feathers on its head swayed slightly. Human? Demon? Is this your territory? Then, why is His Majesty's thing here? His Majesty. Mo Jianli and the silver wolf ancestor looked at each other. Things didn't seem to be what they thought. Your Excellency Phoenix, when you say His Majesty, is it His Majesty Emperor Yu, the Dragon God? Mo Jianli asked the phoenix carefully. Dragon God? Above the phoenix's golden eyes, two slender eyebrows rose slightly. His Majesty is the Celestial Emperor. Even if he comes down as a true dragon, he is still the Heavenly Emperor, not the Dragon God. Heavenly Emperor? Mo Jianli and the Silver Wolf ancestor were stunned. The Dragon God was already scary enough. Now, he was the Heavenly Emperor? Wasn't his background a little too big? You haven't answered me. The phoenix looked at the two. Flapping its wings, it pointed at the Five Elements mountain. You haven't answered me. Why is His Majesty's thing here? Your Excellency Phoenix. My name is Tsai. I am His Majesty's maid and the manager of the Inner Palace. Mo Jianli was interrupted by the phoenix. Oh, it's Fairy Tsai. The two quickly bowed to greet her. Fairy Tsai, please know. 10 years ago, His Majesty Emperor Yu came from overseas and gave us the inheritance of the Five Elements' true skill. This Five Elements mountain was given to us by His Majesty Emperor Yu. Mo Jianli pointed at the Five Elements mountain, then at the people under the Five Elements mountain. His Majesty Emperor Yu protected the people. We are grateful. Given to you. Tsai extended her wings and pointed at the palm of the Five Elements mountain. The Five Elements' true skill is fine. His Majesty even gave you the token of the Immortal Palace Pill Hall? Tsai nodded thoughtfully. His Majesty's true body came from the human race. It is reasonable that he treats you humans well. His Majesty Emperor Yu came from the human race. Mo Jianli's heart was filled with ecstasy. His eyes were shining. Fine. Since it was given to you by His Majesty, it is also your good fortune. You should take care of yourselves. Don't rely on His Majesty to do whatever you want. Kai-E nodded to the two of them, flapped her wings, and flew away with a rumbling sound. It seems like, after the phoenix left, Mo Jianli pointed at the Five Elements mountain and turned to look at Ancestor Silver Wolf. Fairy Tsai, you mean there is something incredible there? The token of the Immortal Palace Pill Hall? Ancestor Silver Wolf grinned. Old Devil Mo, the Immortal Palace Pill Hall. There must be countless immortal elixirs, right? This is a great bargain. Let's go take a look. The two of them flew to the place that Tsai pointed at. They scanned the place with their divine perception and found two palm-sized bronze tokens. The Immortal Palace Pill Hall. Seeing the profound and ancient immortal words on the bronze tokens and the extraordinary immortal copper, the two of them were overjoyed. It is indeed a great opportunity, a great fortune. They each took one of the bronze tokens and touched it with their divine perception. They found a magnificent palace. There were many immortal elixirs in the palace. There is hope for us to ascend. The two of them looked at each other and were overjoyed. Chapter 343. Very good. Li Yu immediately received news that the 2 copper talismans had fallen into the hands of Mo Jianli and the Silver Wolf Patriarch. These 2 copper talismans could be considered as a weakened version of the system. Although only the function of exchanging pills had been activated, these 2 copper talismans still had the ability to connect to the main system and monitor all of the host's information. An unlimited supply of pills. I've given you such a huge cheat. If you still can't ascend and become immortals, then… Alright, if they still couldn't ascend and become immortals, then it would only prove that Li Yu's qi refinement path was wrong. All that's left is to wait. Hopefully, it won't take too long. Li Yu waved his hand and connected to the system. Since I have nothing else to do, I should instruct Li Feiyu to search for treasures. It seems like there are some good things in the spiritual realm. In the wilderness outside Sky Border City, all kinds of ferocious beasts emerged from the mountains. Of course, the most dangerous ones were the foreign races. This was the border between the human race and the wood tribe. The forest was obscured by gigantic trees. A green-haired, green-eyed figure holding a wooden spear and dressed in a dark green robe traversed through the forest. The figure moved extremely quickly, as if the dense forest had no effect on him at all. In fact, it had no effect on him at all. This was the wood tribe. They were born with the ability to control the vegetation in the forest and were born with wood-type abilities. Furthermore, they were almost naturally immune to wood-type attacks. The reason why it was almost was because divine vine entanglement. In the dense forest, Han Li's figure flashed out from behind a large tree. He pointed a finger, and a lively green vine whizzed out. The jade-green vine wrapped around the wood tribe cultivator. Under the shocked gaze of the wood tribe cultivator, the vine wrapped around his head and bound him tightly. As a wood tribe cultivator, how could he be bound by vines? How could this be Clang? The platinum sword pierced through the wood tribe cultivator's head, and he fell to the ground. A late-stage soul formation stage wood tribe cultivator. Li Feiyu waved his hand and put the wood tribe cultivator's body into the furnace of creation. Brother Han, we've already killed 4 late-stage soul formation stage wood tribe cultivators. After refining this power, we've already… Boom! Before Li Feiyu could finish his words, he suddenly heard a loud sound coming from the forest in front of him. A vast green light soared into the sky, and a majestic aura covered the sky. In the surrounding forest, all the flowers and trees shook violently, as if they were cheering and worshipping the green light. Psychic light. Damn it! A body integration realm old monster from the wood tribe. Li Feiyu and Han Li turned pale when they saw the green light. This was a great divine ability of the Florigrims. It was a great divine power that only the wood race at the body integration realm could use. Once the psychic light appeared, it would allow the wood tribe to communicate with all the plants in the vicinity. Therefore, Li Feiyu and Han Li could no longer hide. Facing a body integration realm old monster of the wood race was simply courting death. Ever since the 2 of them had arrived at Deep Heaven City, they had been fighting monsters and leveling up. At this point, they had already progressed to the soul formation intermediate stage. Once they refined the 4 wood tribe beings in the furnace of creation, they would be able to progress to the soul formation final stage. However, not to mention the late stage of the soul formation stage, even the late stage of the void return stage was no match for an old monster at the form synthesis stage. Kid, the 2 of you work together and transfer your spiritual power to me. I'll open a teleportation array for you. Hurry up! The furnace of creation flew out of Li Feiyu's body and floated in front of the 2 of them. Teleportation array? That's great. The words of the true spirit of creation were simply timely. Li Feiyu and Han Li poured their spiritual power into the furnace of creation without hesitation. Buzz, a clear glazed light shot up and the void shook violently. The 2 of them instantly disappeared. Boom! Just as the 2 of them disappeared, a huge green light crashed down and swept through the area within a radius of 10,000 feet like a storm. The rapidly spinning green light shattered everything in the surroundings, and even a huge crater was formed in the ground. They actually ran away? An angry snort sounded from the green rainbow that was whizzing over. Then, a furious roar sounded. Pass down the order to kill all the humans. Of course, all of this had nothing to do with Li Feiyu and Han Li. Where is this? Chilly winds howled all around, and the sky was shrouded in a pitch-black and chilly fog. The black fog churned, and it was eerie and terrifying. Obviously, this was not a good place. Li Feiyu stood with his sword and was on guard. He asked the true spirit of creation, Senior Creation, where did you teleport us? The true spirit of creation laughed awkwardly. The situation was urgent, so I randomly found a place to teleport us. I didn't expect to be teleported here. In fact, it was not a random teleportation, but Li Yu, the mastermind, deliberately teleported them here. Has the true spirit of creation tricked them to the Black Fog mountain range? Li Yu heard the true spirit of creation's report and nodded with a smile. There are still some good things in the Black Fog mountain, and the 12 awakening transformations of the Tian Peng race is worth studying. Let them plunder for a while. As soon as the mastermind waved his hand, Li Feiyu ran desperately until his legs broke. Senior Creation, do you know where this is? Han Li released his divine soul to sense the surroundings and turned to ask. I've only stayed in the immortal world and the human world. I'm not familiar with the spiritual world. The pill furnace turned into light spots and condensed into the figure of the true spirit of creation. The true spirit of creation looked up and frowned slightly. The yin-chi of a true spirit is so dense. It seems like this is the place where a true spirit fell. A true spirit? Li Feiyu and Han Li had been in the spiritual world for a while, so they naturally knew what a true spirit was. An adult true spirit was not weaker than a Mahayana cultivator. If it was a stronger true spirit, it would already be a true immortal. It's indeed a true spirit and a bird-type true spirit. The true spirit of creation waved his hand and collected a wisp of black fog to refine. Soon, he got the answer. So it's a 9-headed bird. The 9-headed bird is also known as the 9-headed phoenix. It's an extremely ferocious fellow that even dares to eat a true dragon's whelp, and the true dragon hasn't gone extinct yet. It's easy to imagine how ferocious it is. It's indeed ferocious. Li Feiyu nodded and smiled. Fortunately, it's dead. Otherwise, the yin-chi in this place is so dense. I'm afraid this 9-headed bird has already turned into a 9-nether corpse bird. The 9-nether corpse bird can destroy everything. This is not a joke. The true spirit of creation waved his hand, and 2 spots of faint light landed on Li Feiyu and Han Li. I've already concealed your auras. It can't discover you. Take advantage of the fact that it hasn't awakened and put it into the furnace of creation. After refining it, you'll be able to advance to the return to void stage. Alright. Li Feiyu and Han Li looked at each other and nodded. This was not the first time they had launched a sneak attack. Both of them trusted the true spirit of creation's ability to conceal their auras. Otherwise, they would not have dared to launch a sneak attack on the wood tribe in the forest. Following the true spirit of creation's instructions, the two of them tiptoed to the side of a huge pit in the valley. In the huge pit, the black fog was extremely dense. The entire pit was like a pool filled with ink. An extremely cold yin-chi rushed toward them, chilling them to the bone. At the bottom of the pit, a gigantic bird that was thousands of feet long was lying on its stomach. Its 9 long necks were like 9 giant pythons, and its 9 hideous heads were full of sharp spikes. Its long beak was filled with eerie fangs that were more than 3 feet long. Good fellow, it's indeed ferocious. Li Feiyu and Han Li looked at each other and were ready to attack. Chapter 344. Don't worry. Li Feiyu and Han Li were about to attack, but the true spirit of creation stopped them. Kid, this 9-headed bird is not alive. The 9 Hell Corpse bird can't be killed with 1 or 2 slashes. Senior creation, what should we do? The two of them naturally trusted the true spirit of creation's knowledge and experience. They hurriedly asked the true spirit of creation for a solution. Kid, the two of you have both cultivated the great Tao of the 5 elements. Convert your cultivation methods to the heavenly wood technique. Activate the mysterious celestial vine together and tie it up. Then, I can put it into the furnace of good fortune. The true spirit of creation immediately gave a feasible solution. Just tie it up? That's not difficult. Both of them cultivated the great Tao of the 5 elements. With the 5-colored divine light as the foundation, the 5 elements coexisted and circulated endlessly. They could freely switch between the 5 elements. Immediately, the two of them joined forces and infused the wood attribute spiritual energy of the heavenly wood technique into Han Li's mysterious fairy vine. Fairy vine entanglement. Han Li pointed his finger, and a green vine broke through the air. In an instant, it turned into a sky full of vine shadows, like a long green dragon, and tightly entangled the 9-headed bird's huge body. Roar! The 9-headed bird was instantly awakened, and its 9 huge heads let out an earth-shattering roar. The violent sound waves revealed a power that could shake the soul, and Li Feiyu and Han Li were both stunned. However, the 9-headed bird was tightly bound by the mysterious fairy vine. No matter how ferocious it was, it could not break free from the binding of the heavenly profound treasure. Evil creature, how dare you be so arrogant? The true spirit of creation's figure floated up and pointed at the 9-headed bird. With a wave of his sleeve, an invisible force swept past. The ferocious 9 Hell Corpse bird was instantly put into the furnace of creation's resource storage. Phew! Li Feiyu and Han Li finally caught their breath after the 9-headed bird was put in. It's really ferocious. Li Feiyu shook his head, still feeling a little dizzy, and grinned. Even though the two of them were at the middle stage of the divine transformation realm, they were still stunned by the roar of the 9 Hell Corpse bird. If it weren't for the sneak attack and the mysterious sky fairy vine's strength, they wouldn't have been able to provoke this thing. This place is the 9-headed bird's nest. Nothing dares to come here. It's perfect for you to break through. The creation true spirit chuckled and turned into a huge cauldron with a flash. Endless scenes of creation flowed at the mouth of the furnace. Of course, this was all an illusion. No matter what the harvest was, Liu had to go through it first. Only then would he be able to get something out of it. 9 Phoenix's corpse? Moreover, it's a guy who has already turned into a 9 Nether Corpse bird? Liu shook his head when he saw the 9 Nether Corpse bird appear in the resource warehouse. This thing would be a good thing in the hands of a corpse refiner. Unfortunately, I don't like to play that game. Liu waved his hand and ordered, System, decompose the 9 Nether Corpse bird and refine the 9 Phoenix bloodline. Convert the rest into spiritual energy and send it to the true spirit of creation. The bloodline of the 9 Phoenix was useful to Liu. Everything else was of no value, so it was directly returned to the creation true spirit. Black Fog Mountain, 9-headed bird's nest. Kid, I've finished refining it. Even the 4 cultivators of the wood tribe have been refined. Prepare to advance to the return to void stage in one go. The scenes of creation faded away, and the huge furnace of creation turned back into the true spirit of creation's immortal-like appearance. Thank you, Senior. Li Feiyu and Han Li bowed to express their gratitude. Then, they sat cross-legged on the ground and activated the 5 elements true technique, preparing to absorb the spiritual energy. Be careful. It's coming. The true spirit of creation waved his hand, and 2 rays of spiritual energy flew out of his hand and entered Li Feiyu and Han Li's bodies. Boom! It was like a raging tide, like the Milky Way hanging upside down. An incomparably huge amount of spiritual energy poured into their bodies. Even though the two of them were prepared, their expressions couldn't help but change. They hurriedly activated their cultivation techniques and continuously absorbed and fused with this spiritual energy. Red, white, green, yellow, and black, 5-colored brilliance circulated. Near the pitch-black pit, 2 balls of 5-colored brilliance bloomed and propped up a huge 5-colored light curtain. Vast spiritual energy fluctuations surged like a raging tide, rumbling continuously. The thick black fog in the surroundings was impacted by this fluctuation, setting off a tsunami-like roar. It was like a pot of boiling water, boiling violently. This movement alarmed some of the local demonic beasts, but the location of the fluctuation was where the 9-headed bird was sleeping, so these demonic beasts didn't dare to act rashly. After a day and a night, this movement finally subsided. "This is the Void Return Realm?" Li Feiyu waved his hand, and a ray of white spiritual energy rushed out and condensed in his hand like a light pillar. With a thought, the white light pillar turned black, then green, red, yellow, and finally back to white. After the 5 elements circulated, Li Feiyu's wrist shook, and the white light pillar instantly disappeared. Then, it condensed in his hand again. Qi refinement returned to void, the transition between virtual and real. It seems that I can already use the great white formless sword. Li Feiyu chuckled and waved his hand, and an invisible sword Qi streaked across silently. It was soundless and traceless. However, in the trajectory of Li Feiyu's hand, the pervasive black fog silently opened up a gap. There was no movement at all, as if this gap had existed for a long time. Good fellow, as expected of the great white formless sword. It's indeed soundless and traceless. It's impossible to guard against. Seeing the effect of this sword, Li Feiyu laughed joyfully. It's not just the great white formless sword. Han Li smiled slightly, and a 5-colored brilliance circulated in his hand. After cultivating the 5 elements and advancing to the Void Return Realm, we can already use the great 5 elements magnetic annihilation divine light. With a shake of his wrist, the 5-colored brilliance condensed into a 5-colored silk thread that could annihilate the 5 elements and destroy all things. This is the great 5 elements magnetic annihilation divine light. With a wave of his hand, the annihilation divine light that was as thin as a silk thread lightly streaked across the sky, the mountain, and the earth. Annihilation! Annihilation! In the place where this silk thread streaked across, the Qi of heaven and earth was annihilated, the mountain was annihilated, and the earth was annihilated. Everything was annihilated. Hiss, seeing the crack in the black mist that filled the sky, the crack from the top to the bottom of the mountain, and the bottomless crack in the ground, the two of them were so shocked that they sucked in a breath of cold air. The great Tao of the 5 elements, the 5-colored divine light, as expected of Emperor Yu's true technique. It's indeed a powerful divine ability. Li Feiyu's mouth was wide open as he praised. He kid, His Majesty Emperor Yu's great Tao true technique is naturally powerful. The true spirit of creation stroked his beard and smiled. He pointed outside and said, "All right, we've already collected the 9-headed bird and advanced in our cultivation. It's time to go out and see where we are." That's true. Apart from the heavenly wind continent, there's also the thunder continent and the blood light continent in the spiritual realm. It's best if we don't teleport to other continents. Li Feiyu smiled and flew out of the mountain in an escape light. It's actually the seaside? After flying out of the mountain range, the two of them sped along. After running for 1,000 miles, the two of them saw a long coastline and a vast ocean. There's a demonic beast in the ocean over there? Early soul formation stage? Let's ask for directions. Li Feiyu's body swayed and shot across the sky like a bolt of lightning. With a wave of his hand, the great white formless sword silently streaked across and beheaded this demonic beast that was 1,000 feet long and shaped like a flood dragon. With a flick of his sleeve, the demonic beast's body was stored in the furnace of creation. With Li Feiyu's return to void stage cultivation and the great white formless sword's invisible attack, this early-stage soul formation demonic beast was beheaded before it could even figure out what was going on. Alright, this was Sword Immortal Chongging's way of asking for directions. Kid, you're lucky. There's actually a treasure in this demonic beast's cave abode. After the true spirit of creation refined the demonic beast, he obtained information about the treasure from the demonic beast's soul and happily informed Li Feiyu. Treasure? Then it's worth looking at. Li Feiyu's face lit up with surprise. He had casually killed an early-stage soul formation demonic beast and actually encountered a treasure. There was really nothing to say about his luck. Of course, this was not luck. Did you think the mastermind was joking? Chapter 345. Young man, behind all coincidences, there is an inevitability. Liu chuckled, picked up the wine bottle and drank it. Kai Yi, who was standing aside, quickly picked up the wine bottle, gently walked over, and poured some wine into Liu's wine bottle. It was inevitable that Li Feiyu had found a treasure. Since he had tricked Li Feiyu and Kai Li to come to the Black Fog Mountain, how could Liu not know what kind of treasure there was in this place? In the cave of the Flood Dragon, there was an extremely heavy and hard stone block. Naturally, Liu was aware of this information. The creation true spirit scanned the area and found the dragon-type demon beast. With the guidance of the creation true spirit, it was inevitable that Li Feiyu would meet this flood dragon. Senior creation, where is this flood dragon's cave? Li Feiyu's eyes lit up, and he quickly asked the creation true spirit. Even the creation true spirit said that it was a treasure, so it was definitely not ordinary. The flood dragon's cave is of course at the bottom of the sea. The creation true spirit pointed to the sea in front of them and nodded with a smile. Bottom of the sea? Let's go. Li Feiyu waved his hand at Han Li, and his whole body emitted a black light. Tianshui qi filled the air. The 5 elements changed and turned into the northern underworld black water qi. Using water to control water, the two separated the water and went down. Following the direction of the creation true spirit, they went all the way to the bottom of the sea. Between the huge reefs at the bottom of the sea, there was a faint light curtain in a huge cave. It's here. Li Feiyu nodded at Han Li and took the lead, passing through the light curtain and entering the flood dragon's cave. Unexpectedly, there is such a scene? Different from what Li Feiyu had expected, the cave in front of him was not as foul as he had imagined. Instead, it was very exquisite and gorgeous. It was an exquisite hall with shining pearls inlaid all around it, illuminating the entire cave abode. In front of the hall, there was a garden-like courtyard. Strange flowers were spread out, and strange stones were like a forest. The winding corridors led to a secluded place. Walking along the corridor, they entered the main hall. The entire main hall was also inlaid with pearls, brightly lit. The main hall was beautifully decorated, but there were very few decorations. There was only a praying mat in the middle, and in the corner, there was a large stone block that was half embedded into the ground. Senior creation, the treasure you speak of is... Li Feiyu glanced around the hall and didn't find anything that looked like a treasure. Kid, do you see that stone block? Then it's a treasure. The creation true spirit pointed at the stone block and smiled. This thing is actually a treasure? Li Feiyu shook his head and walked to the side of the stone block. He grabbed a corner of the stone block and lifted it up. Hiss, it's actually so heavy? Li Feiyu lifted it, but the stone block did not budge at all. With Li Feiyu's current strength, even if he did not take the path of body refinement, his strength was no less than 5,000 kilograms. However, the stone block didn't even shake. As expected, something is amiss. Li Feiyu began to get serious. He stretched out his hands and wrapped them around the stone block. He lowered his waist into a horse stance, exhaled, and suddenly raised his hands. The stone block remained motionless. At this time, even Han Li was shocked. A Void Return cultivator couldn't move a stone block? This must be a rare treasure. Enough. Don't waste your energy. You're not a mystic immortal body refinement cultivator. Why are you moving this? Just put it away. Seeing that Li Feiyu was actually competing with the stone block, the creation true spirit shook his head. Kid, this is a stone block made of mystic gold essence. It's a tool for mystic immortals to refine their bodies. It's something like a stone lock. Why are you wasting your energy? Mystic gold essence? What's that? Also, is a mystic immortal a true immortal body refinement cultivator? Li Feiyu released the stone block and stopped competing with it. He asked the creation true spirit in confusion. Mystic gold essence is the main material used to refine immortal weapons in the immortal world. Although there are many of them, as many as there are iron ores in the mortal world. However, mystic gold essence is still the best material for weapons. Material for immortal weapons. Li Feiyu looked at the Chongqing sword at his waist and smiled happily. With a wave of his sleeve, an invisible wave swept across and put the stone block into the creation furnace. As for mystic immortals, they are a type of perfected immortal who focuses on body refinement by referring to the true spirit cultivation method. However, mystic immortals are strong at the lower levels, but not at the perfected immortal level. Li Feiyu passed on some general knowledge from the two perfected immortals' memories to the creation true spirit, allowing it to understand a lot of inside information about the immortal world. After all, it was an immortal weapon from the immortal world. If it didn't know anything about the immortal world, how could it fool people? It's still too early for you. Don't worry about it for now. The creation true spirit waved his hand and interrupted the two who wanted to continue asking. This mystic gold essence is not very pure. In the immortal world, it's just a brick for building walls. However, in the lower realm, it's good stuff. The huge pill furnace appeared again. Endless scenes of creation flowed as the creation true spirit began refining the stone block. After a round of refinement, the creation true spirit was still chattering and sighing with emotion. After His Majesty Emperor, you gave this old man to Princess Ting. This old man was used by Princess Ting to refine stones and mold clay figurines. Who knows how many times this mystic gold essence has been refined? Sigh, I can't bear to look back on the past. As the scenes of creation flowed, a beam of golden light shot into the sky, exploding with a boundless aura of sharpness. Clanging sounds rang out in the surrounding space, as if countless blades were clashing against each other. Of course, these phenomena were used to scare people. The stone block was put into the creation furnace and immediately returned to Li Yu's hands. Mystic gold essence? After breaking down the copper pillar, there's still plenty of it in the immortal world. It's not that rare, so there's no need to keep it. With a wave of his hand, the stone block was sent back into the creation true spirit storage. Kid, the mystic gold essence has been refined. Throw in your Chongqing sword. This old man will refine an immortal sword for you. The scenes of creation receded, and pure golden light dazzled the eyes. Oh, okay. Li Feiyu hurriedly took off the Chongqing sword and threw it into the creation furnace. This Chongqing sword had always been Li Feiyu's magic treasure since the beginning of his cultivation. Although it had been refined many times, its quality was still too poor and seemed a little outdated. At this moment, with an immortal-grade material like the innate gold essence, the Chongqing sword would definitely be extraordinary after being reforged. In the creation furnace, the endless scenes of creation rose again. In this scene of creation, the clanging sounds of swords could be heard incessantly, as if countless heavy hammers were constantly hammering metal, and as if countless long swords were slashing at each other. Clang, the sound of a sword whistling soared into the sky. A pure white light rushed out from the mouth of the furnace, like a white rainbow piercing the sun. Sword chi soared into the sky, condensed to the extreme of sharpness, as if even space was about to be cut open. Is this the Changing Immortal Sword? Li Feiyu stretched out his hand, and the white rainbow whistled into his hand, turning into a 4-foot-long sword. The pure silver-white sword blade was about 3 feet and 2 inches long, with a thick sword spine and a sharp sword edge. Even if the sword chi had not been activated, the sharp and cold aura was already terrifying. Changing Immortal Sword. Good. Very good. Li Feiyu smiled while stroking the sword and looked outside the cave. Sharp weapon in hand. Killing intent in heart. It's time to find a target to test the sword. Chapter 346. Kid, this is still the Heavenly Wind continent. After reforging the Changing sword, the true spirit of creation turned into a light spot and returned to Li Feiyu's body. It began to explain the situation here. According to the Flood Dragon's memories, this place belongs to the Heavenly Rock tribe of the 72 tribes of the Feather Race. The Feather Race? Li Feiyu had naturally heard of the Feather Race after coming to the spiritual realm. These foreign races with 2 wings on their backs were born with extremely fast flying speed. It was very common for the Feather Race with high cultivation to travel 1,000 miles in an instant. Kid, go and kill a few Heavenly Rock tribe members. I'll refine a pair of winged Dharma treasures for you. Your flying speed will greatly increase, and it'll be much more convenient to travel long distances. Since Li Yu wanted to target the Heavenly Rock tribe, the true spirit of creation could only trick Li Feiyu into attacking them. Winged Dharma treasures? That's not bad. Li Feiyu reached out and pressed the longsword at his waist with a smile. The Heavenly Rock tribe is also a good target to test my sword on. Walking out of the underwater cave, the 2 of them separated from the water and returned to the land. At this moment, the black fog outside had thinned a lot after collecting the 9 nether corpse bird. Kid, that's the Heavenly Rock tribe's territory. The true spirit of creation pointed in a direction, and Li Feiyu rushed toward the Heavenly Rock tribe's territory. Thousands of miles away from the Heavenly Rock tribe's territory, the 2 of them descended and restrained their auras. The Heavenly Rock tribe had Mahayana cultivators and countless body integration cultivators. With their early-stage void return strength, they would be courting death if they charged over brazenly. No matter how powerful their divine abilities were, it would be useless. However, even though Li Feiyu had descended from a distance, the commotion caused by them breaking through the sky still alarmed a few Heavenly Rock tribe cultivators in charge of patrolling the border. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sound of wings breaking through the air came from afar. 3 patrolling Heavenly Rock tribe cultivators with their wings spread out rushed over. They took the bait. Li Feiyu glanced at the Heavenly Rock tribe cultivators rushing over from the horizon and pressed his longsword with a smile. The commotion caused by them riding on the light was naturally intentional. If they didn't lure a few Heavenly Rock tribe members out. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound of wings breaking through the air was already nearing. The 3 Tianping race members flew over in a triangular formation. These 3 Tianping cultivators all wore breastplates and held short spears in their hand. The one in the front had a pair of golden wings, while the 2 behind him had green wings. Humans. You dare to invade my Tianping race's territory? You are courting death. 3 Tianping race members flew over. When they saw Li Feiyu and Han Li below them, they immediately roared angrily. Spreading their wings, they raised their short spears and charged forward. Have you ever heard of walking into a trap? Li Feiyu stood with his hands behind his back. He smiled and shook his head at the 3 Tianping race cultivators who were rushing over. Poof, puff, poo. The 3 Tianping race cultivators seemed to have collided with an invisible blade as they flew through the air at an extremely fast speed. Blood splattered as the head flew off. The formless blade emitted a sharp and cold aura, directly beheading the 3 Tianping cultivators. The grand white formless sword is indeed the best Dharma treasure for sneak attacks. Li Feiyu chuckled. With a wave of his hand, an invisible wave swept over and sent the 3 Tian Peng race cultivators into the furnace of creation. He placed the grand white formless sword Qi in front of the 3 Tian Peng race cultivators who were flying over. Then, the 3 Tian Peng race cultivators crashed into it without any surprise and died in an extremely sullen manner. Let's go. After the sneak attack succeeded, Li Feiyu and Han Li hurriedly left the scene. Under the cover of the true spirit of creation's aura, they hid in the deep mountains and forests a few hundred kilometers away. 1 golden peng and 2 azure peng. Not bad. Just right. The furnace of creation appeared, and endless scenes of creation circulated. It seemed that the true spirit of creation was refining the so-called Wing Dharma treasure. In fact, the true spirit of creation was waiting for Li Yu's orders. The Wing Dharma treasure is naturally to deceive people. Its purpose is to let them sneak into the Tian Peng race. Li Yu chuckled. The 12 awakening transformations of the Tian Peng race is still worth studying. Li Yu waved his hand and immediately made arrangements. System: break down the 3 Tian Peng race cultivators and refine their Tian Peng bloodline. Inject the bloodline power into the 2 pairs of wings and refine them into Wing Dharma treasures. As the 5 colored rays of light circulated, 2 pairs of wings, 1 golden and 1 green, appeared in the resource warehouse. The Tian Peng bloodline refined by the system is very pure. It's enough for them to sneak in. Li Yu nodded and sent the 2 pairs of wings to the true spirit of creation. On the furnace of creation, the endlessly circulating scenes of creation had already faded. The 2 pairs of wings, 1 golden and 1 green, flew out of the furnace and landed in the hands of Li Feiyu and Han Li respectively. This is the Wing Dharma treasure? Li Feiyu looked at the palm-sized pair of golden wings in his hand and felt a majestic aura from the wings. He was very happy. It seems pretty good. Han Li also looked at the pair of green wings in his hand over and over again. When I make a move, how can it be bad? Lads, with this pair of wings, after you refine them, it won't be a problem for you to impersonate the saints of the Tian Peng race. The true spirit of creation raised his head proudly. We can even impersonate the Tian Peng race? Li Feiyu and Han Li looked at each other and their eyes lit up. The 2 of them, who had been fighting monsters to level up, naturally knew that they could impersonate the Tian Peng race and sneak in. There were many places where they could do something. Spiritual power circulated and poured into the Tian Peng wings in their hands. When Li Yu created the 2 pairs of wings, he also referred to the flying battle techniques in Xiaofeng's world. This pair of wings really had extraordinary flying speed. Swoosh, swoosh. 2 rays of light, 1 golden and 1 green, bloomed. Li Feiyu and Han Li each had a pair of wings that were more than 10 feet long. The golden wings had feathers that looked as if they were made of gold. When they spread out, the surroundings were filled with golden light. The green wings had feathers that looked as if they were carved out of jade. When they spread out, the surroundings were filled with green light. Good. Very good. Li Feiyu and Han Li looked at each other and chuckled. They were very satisfied with this pair of wings. Boys, I'll pass on some general knowledge of the Tian Peng race to you. You can impersonate the Tian Peng saint and sneak into the Tian Peng race to cause trouble. The true spirit of creation smiled and waved his hand to shoot out 2 light spots. He imparted the general knowledge of the Tian Peng race from the memories of the 3 Tian Peng race cultivators into their minds. Impersonate the saint? Li Feiyu absorbed the knowledge that the true spirit of creation passed to him. He spread his wings and chuckled. It seems that the current sacred leader of the Tian Peng race is already dead? The saint hasn't appeared yet? I'm the Golden Rock Saint, Li Feiyu. Li Feiyu flapped his wings and smiled at Han Li. I'm the Green Rock Saint, Han Li. Han Li chuckled and cupped his hands at Li Feiyu. Let's go. Let's see what the Tian Peng race looks like. With a flap of his wings, strong winds howled and the clouds surged. Two figures, one golden and one green, soared into the sky. Above the golden figure, a 300-meter-long golden-winged roc appeared. The sound of it piercing through the air was like thunder. Above the green figure, a 300-meter-long green roc appeared as well. As they pierced through the air, strong winds howled around them. "That's, over there." The two of them flew all the way to Tianping Sacred City. Their mighty momentum and majestic auras frightened all the Tianping race cultivators who saw them. Tianping Dharma characteristics? These are the two saints. Countless Tianping race cultivators were shocked when they saw the Golden Rock Saint and Green Rock Saint behind them. With such an aura, the two of them were unobstructed. No one dared to question them. After a while, a majestic mountain towered in front of them. On top of the mountain, there were countless buildings, caves, and palaces. The entire mountain was a city. Is that Tianping Sacred City? Li Feiyu and Han Li looked at each other. With a turn of their wings, they flew toward Tianping Sacred City. The two impersonators' plan to trick the Tianping race was about to begin. Chapter 347. What a huge city! Flying all the way, when they got close to Heavenly Rock Sacred City, what appeared in front of them was a huge city that stretched as far as the eye could see. The city was built on the side of a mountain, and the verdant mountain in front of them was a city. There was a white light screen above the city. At this moment, a large group of Tianping tribesmen flapped their wings and flew out of the light screen. They looked at Li Feiyu and Han Li from afar. Is that a saint? His bloodline is so thick. He should be a saint, right? He has revealed the Heavenly Rock Dharma characteristic. He must be a saint. Two saints appeared at the same time? Our race will definitely prosper. The group of Tianping tribesmen looked at Li Feiyu and Han Li, who were flying over from afar, and started discussing. Whoosh, whoosh. There was a rapid sound of wings flapping. A group of Tianping tribesmen wearing golden armor with golden wings flew out of the light screen. The group of golden-winged Tianping tribesmen flew out and welcomed Li Feiyu and Han Li. I'm Jean Ling. Greetings to the Golden Rock Saint and Green Rock Saint. The leader of the group was a golden-haired girl in a white robe. She extended her golden wings and bowed to Li Feiyu and Han Li. At ease. Li Feiyu waved his hand expressionlessly. Han Li stood beside Li Feiyu and nodded to the group with a smile. May I know the names of the two saints? Where are you from? The golden-haired girl, Jean Ling, stood up and asked Li Feiyu and Han Li with a smile. After all, Li Feiyu and Han Li were unfamiliar faces. It was unbelievable that two saints had appeared out of nowhere. The saints were the noblest and purest Tianping bloodline. They were the future leaders, just like the princes of mortal kingdoms. Now that the Saint Lord had fallen, the saints were the leaders. Without knowing their backgrounds and the ins and outs of the matter, they did not dare to recognize them. I'm Li Feiyu, and this is my brother Han Li. We are from Tianheng. The creation true spirit had already extracted the memories of 3 tribesmen. It was not difficult to find a suitable background. Tianheng royal family? Jean Ling looked at the two of them with a face full of shock. He was already 99% convinced of their origins. Other than the Tianheng royal family, where else could there be a holy son with such a pure bloodline? Over 30,000 years have passed. Has the Tianheng division, Tianheng royal family returned? He thought back to the glorious days when the Tianping race ruled over the 72 divisions of the Harpy race. He thought back to the civil war that caused the extremely powerful Tianping race to fall apart and become the last of the 72 divisions of the Harpy race. Thinking about the historical records of the clan, the young girl was speechless. The wings of the heavenly rock cover the lofty mountains and the clouds. The feathers of the heavenly rock, dazzling the sun, the moon and the stars. Following the instructions given by the true spirit of creation, Li Feiyu stood proudly with his hands clasped behind his back, singing with a loud and passionate voice. After 30,000 years, heavenly Pungs of the Holy Mountain, citizens of Tianheng, do you still remember the glory of Tianheng? Do you still remember the glory of the royal family? His long chant resounded through the clouds, and his high-spirited shout shook the soul. At this moment, the entire heavenly rock sacred city was silent. No one dared to answer this kind of historical question, nor did they want to answer it. I am the Golden Rock Sage Li Feiyu. Speaking up to this point, Li Feiyu gave Han Li a look. The two of them had worked together for many years, so Han Li naturally understood what Li Feiyu meant. Han Li's expression turned solemn, and he announced his name loudly. I am the Green Rock Sage Han Li. With the blood of the heavenly rock as proof and the resonance of the true spirit as proof, I declare that after 30,000 years, the glory has returned. The royal family has returned. With that, Li Feiyu pointed at the tallest tower in Heavenly Rock Sacred City. It was an octagonal tower that was 6,000 to 7,000 feet tall. The tower was milky white, and every surface was engraved with dense and mysterious runes. These runes emitted a 5-colored glow, forming a light screen that enveloped the entire white tower. Li Feiyu pointed his finger, and the golden wings on his back bloomed with a brilliant golden radiance. Screech! An earth-shattering screech sounded, and a brilliant golden light suddenly erupted. A huge golden-winged rock with wings that hung over the clouds appeared above Li Feiyu's head. At the same time, a huge green rock appeared above Han Li's head. These two rock images, a small portion of them were caused by the rock bloodline aura in the wings, but most of them were from the virtual images created by Li Yu. The two rock images soared into the sky, and two screeches resounded through the clouds. At this moment, the white tower on the mountain peak shook violently, and all the runes on the tower lit up at the same time. Screech! A loud screech sounded from the white tower. Amidst the endless brilliance, the image of an incomparably huge rock appeared in the void. The rock image covered the sky and the sun. It spread its wings and covered the mountains and the clouds. Its feathers were brilliant, dazzling the sun, the moon, and the stars. Screech! 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 The three rock images faced each other, and their screeches shook the heaven and earth. A vast aura covered the sky and the earth. True spirit resonance. In the entire Heavenly Rock Sacred City, countless people from the Heavenly Rock race felt as if a huge mountain was pressing down on their head. Their bloodline vibrated, and their legs turned to jelly as they knelt on the ground. Heavenly Rock of the Sacred Mountain, people of Tianheng, your king has returned. Li Feiyu seemed to have really gotten into the act. He opened his arms and stood proudly in midair, welcoming everyone's kowtows. Greetings, Golden Rock Saint. Greetings, Green Rock Saint. Under the overflowing might of the true spirit resonance, at this moment, all the Tianpeng clansmen acknowledged the two's identity and bowed towards them. History had passed, and success or failure was meaningless. The return of the king would bring new hope to the Heavenly Rock race. Rise, become stronger, and regain their lost glory. This was the wish of all the Heavenly Rock race. Welcome back, Saint. The group of Heavenly Rock race shouted and knelt on the ground. Thus, the two impostors stepped on a path filled with flowers and entered Heavenly Rock Sacred City amidst the worship and respect of countless people. What the heck? Li Yu shook his head speechlessly, touched his chin, and smiled bitterly. Are they copying me? They're obviously copying me, right? Creation true spirit, can't you think of something new? If you want to play, come up with something new. Li Yu rubbed his temples, indicating that he had a headache. This style of showing off was obviously His Majesty Emperor Yu's style. A crooked stick would have a crooked shadow, right? Forget it, let them play as they please. Although it's a little noisy, the effect is better. With the identity of the King's Saint, it's easy to get the 12 awakening transformations. Li Yu waved his hand and let them fool around. In Heavenly Rock Sacred City, there's a hidden shopkeeper Yu. The direct descendant of the five-colored peacock race also has the five-colored divine light. Let's see who's more authentic. Li Yu chuckled and went back to watching the show. Chapter 348. Greetings, Your Highness. When they arrived at the palace at the peak of the mountain, a young lady who looked very similar to Jean Ling came forward to welcome them. I am Jean Yu, the great elder of Sky Rock Sacred City. Please forgive me for not coming out to welcome you, Your Highness. Jean Yu walked to the two of them and bowed. Li Feiyu and Han Li shuddered at the aura of the great vehicle stage. A cultivator at the great vehicle stage naturally had a corresponding status. With Jean Yu's strength, she would have a superior status even when facing the two saints. Great Elder, you are too courteous. Li Feiyu and Han Li would not make things difficult just because Jean Yu did not come out to welcome them. Thank you, Your Highness. Jean Yu took advantage of the situation and stood up. With the return of the two saints, there is hope for our tribe to rise again. Jean Yu sighed and led the two of them to sit down in the hall. She began to explain the current situation of the Sky Rock race to them. The current Saint Lord went to the Earth Abyss to fight against the underground demon beasts and died accidentally. There is no longer a saint with a pure bloodline in the race. The situation is worrying. Jean Yu shook her head and sighed. Without the saints, our Sky Rock race would have become a vassal of the 72 divisions of the Feather race. Fortunately, with the return of the two highnesses, our tribe will rise again. With the cultivation of the Saint Lord, he died in the hands of the underground demon beasts? Li Feiyu and Han Li looked at each other in shock. The Sky Rock Saint Lord was at the great vehicle stage. How could he die in the hands of the demon beasts? Was this a joke? Your Highness's discerning eyes are correct. Jean Yu sighed. Of course, there's an inside story. When our Sky Rock race ruled the 72 divisions of the Feather race, there were many people who were dissatisfied with us. Someone must have plotted against the Saint Lord. I see. Li Feiyu nodded. It seems that the 72 divisions of the Feather race want to attack our Sky Rock race. That must be it. Jean Yu nodded and looked at Li Feiyu and Han Li. Your Highnesses, your bloodline is noble, but your cultivation is not high. With our clan's current situation, the two of you are still in some danger. Jean Yu pointed at the white steeple across the hall. The Holy Spirit Tower still has the Sky Pung True Blood and Sky Pung Relic. Your Majesties should refine the True Blood and Relic to increase your strength. If that's the case, then so be it. Li Feiyu nodded, secretly feeling a little happy in his heart. This was because the creation True Spirit was yelling in his mind. Go. Go quickly. The Heavenly Prung True Blood and the Heavenly Prung Relic are both good stuff. Actually, these two items were not very useful to Li Feiyu and Han Li. After all, they were not the true Sky Rock Holy Sun. Even if they refined the Sky Rock True Blood, it would only increase the power of their wings. As for the Sky Rock Relic, it was the crystallization of spiritual will left behind by the experts of the Sky Rock race after they passed away. Absorbing the spiritual will within it could also increase the power of one's soul. However, the 12 awakening transformations that Li Yu wanted was in one of the Heavenly Rock Relic. Naturally, he had to trick Li Feiyu into going there. Your Highnesses, please. Jean Yu stood up and led Li Feiyu and Han Li to the white steeple. With a wave of his hand, a ray of spiritual light landed on the white steeple. The runes on the body of the steeple lit up with a hum. As the light flowed, a door with a faint glow opened on the white steeple. A vast and majestic Sky Rock aura was emitted from the door. Your Highnesses, the Sky Rock True Blood and Sky Rock Relic are sealed inside. Your Highnesses can go ahead and refine them yourselves. Jean Yu pointed at the door in front of them and bowed to Li Feiyu and Han Li. Thank you, Elder Jean Yu. The two of them thanked Jean Yu. Under the command of the creation true spirit, they released the sky rock bloodline aura. Two rays of light, one gold and one green, rushed out from the door on the white steeple. They swept Li Feiyu and Han Li up and sucked them into the door. They really have the royal bloodline? They really are our holy sons? Jingyue frowned slightly when he saw the two of them being sucked into the white steeple. Didn't the Tianheng royal family go extinct back then? They still have descendants? Jingyue frowned and pondered for a while. Then, he smiled and shook his head. I was too suspicious. To be able to trigger the true spirit resonance and gain the recognition of the Sky Rock bloodline in the Holy Spirit Tower, they must be the Holy Sons. With Li Yu's means, it would only take a few minutes for him to create a real Sky Rock Holy Son. It was too easy for Li Feiyu and Han Li to pretend to be the Holy Sons. Inside the Holy Spirit Tower, Li Feiyu and Han Li appeared in a huge space with flowing light. Endless light flowed in front of them. The vast Sky Rock True Spirit aura surged like waves. Streaks of rainbow light of different colors were shuttling back and forth in the void. Sparkling stars were shining brightly in the splendor of the light. Kid, those rainbow lights are the Sky Rock True Blood. Those stars are the Sky Rock Relic. The creation True Spirit appeared in Li Feiyu's mind and instructed him to collect the Sky Rock True Blood and Sky Rock Relic. Kid, collect the 2 rainbow lights at the top, and the 3 Sky Rock relics over there. After the creation True Spirit pointed out the direction, Li Feiyu nodded and waved his hand. A huge golden rainbow and an emerald green rainbow flew in. Then, he collected the 3 Sky Rock relics that the creation True Spirit pointed out. Senior Creation, can't you collect more? Li Feiyu looked at the rainbow lights and stars in the sky. He was like a mouse that had entered a barn. He couldn't wait to pack it up and plunder it clean. Don't be rash. No one can absorb so much Sky Rock True Blood and Sky Rock Relic. If you dare to take more, you will be slapped to death by that golden-winged woman. The creation True Spirit pursed his lips and ignored Li Feiyu. Ha ha! Li Feiyu laughed embarrassedly. He also knew that he was being greedy. There was still a Mahayana cultivator guarding outside. If he acted rashly, he would definitely be dead. After the Sky Rock True Blood and Sky Rock relics were stored in the creation furnace, they were now in Li Yu's hands. The 12 awakening transformations are in my hands. Li Yu reached out and took out a gray Sky Rock relic. He held it in his hand and looked at it. Then, he smiled and nodded. Many years ago, an elder of the Sky Rock race called Hong Yun obtained a divine ability that used the bloodline of other true spirits as a guide to transform into the form of a true spirit. This is the 12 awakening transformations. After keeping the Sky Rock relics in the resource storage, Li Yu instructed the system, scan the information in the Sky Rock relics and record the 12 awakening transformations into the resource storage. With the 12 awakening transformations in his hands, all that was left was to deal with Li Feiyu and Han Li. Transfer the Sky Rock transformation of the 12 awakening transformations to the creation True Spirit. Let them cultivate the Sky Rock transformation and really pretend to be the Sky Rock Saint. After Li Yu made the decision, the creation True Spirit immediately acted according to the instructions. The Sky Rock True Blood and Sky Rock relics were disintegrated and refined, turning into pure energy that merged into the bodies of the two. At the same time, the Sky Rock transformation technique was also transferred. Sky Rock transformation? A transformation technique that uses true blood as a guide? Not bad. After the true blood entered their bodies, the two of them circulated the technique. 2 rays of light, 1 gold and 1 green, surged up in the air. Along with the circulation of the cultivation method, 2 talismans, 1 golden and 1 green in the shape of a great rock spreading its wings, slowly condensed and took shape on their backs. Screech, screech, 2 cries of the Sky Rock resounded. Golden light flashed and green light swept across. A golden rock, covered in golden feathers, flapped its wings and flew up. A green rock, covered in green jade, soared into the sky. Boom! The white tower shook, and the golden light and green light changed directions. The two of them moved out of the Holy Spirit Tower. Screech, screech, two huge cries of the Sky Rock resounded. One gold and one green, the two Sky Rock, which were hundreds of feet long, soared through the sky. Sky Rock true form. Jean Yu's eyes widened, and her mouth couldn't close for a long time. The two holy princes' bloodlines are already so pure and dense? They can actually transform into the Sky Rock true form? Sky Rock true form. That's the Saint's Sky Rock true form. Seeing the two Sky Rock Great Rock Sacred City was in an uproar. The wings of the Sky Rock cover the mountains and the clouds. The wings of the Sky Rock dazzle the sun and the moon and the stars. Countless Sky Rock people knelt on the ground and sang the praises of the Sky Rock. Glory shines on the sacred mountain, radiance illuminates the land. Our king has returned. Our race will rise again. Jean Yu took a deep breath and clenched her fists tightly. She bowed deeply to the two Sky Rock Great Rock Great Rock Great Rock Great Rock Great Rock. Chapter 349. On this day, Heavenly Rock City was in high spirit. On this night, Heavenly Rock City was filled with singing and dancing. Li Feiyu and Han Li looked at the countless Heavenly Rock people who were brimming with joy. They looked at the smiling Jean Yu and Jean Ling sisters and looked at each other. Brother, we have gone too far. They had impersonated the saint and carried the hopes of millions of people. They bore the responsibility of revitalizing their race. These two fellows, who had only wanted to take advantage of the situation, felt a little lost and heavy. Two 7- or 8-year-old girls from the Heavenly Rock race held an exquisite garland. Amidst the cheers of countless people, they presented the garland to the two of them. Their hearts trembled violently. This is love and respect. It is also glory. Li Feiyu took a deep breath, took the garland, and put it on his head seriously. This is hope. It is also responsibility. Han Li also took the garland and put it on his head solemnly. Greetings, sacred leader. Everyone in Heavenly Rock City knelt on the ground and shouted loudly. This was the coronation. This was the coronation ceremony of the Heavenly Rock race. What the heck? Seeing this scene, Li Yu was speechless for a long time. These two fellows, are they really planning to become the sacred leader of the Heavenly Rock race? Li Yu smiled and shook his head. There is still some value in having the Heavenly Rock race in my hands. I'll let you play as you wish. With the power of an entire race as a backing, it was much more useful than being alone. When necessary, Li Yu could even use the Heavenly Rock race as a chess piece. Since that was the case, Li Feiyu and Han Li's mischief was not without value. Ignoring Li Feiyu and Han Li, Li Yu put his thoughts on the 12 awakening transformations. Using the bloodline of a true spirit as a guide to change the shape of the true spirit. This divine ability does have some merits. Li Yu allowed the system to transmit the 12 awakening transformations technique into his mind. He carefully analyzed this divine ability. Using the true spirit bloodline as a guide, one's body can be reconstructed according to the true spirit bloodline and take the form of a true spirit. This is somewhat similar to the shape-shifting ability. This magical ability was very profound and powerful. It was definitely not something that Heavenly Pring Elder Hong Yun could create with a mere Deshang stage cultivation base. I'm afraid this ability is part of a certain ability that originated from the immortal world. Li Yu knocked on the table and nodded with a smile. Compared to my myriad transformations, this God Art's starting point is much lower. Furthermore, its power was also extraordinary. It's very valuable. In Li Yu's hands, the 12 awakening of hibernation transformations could be evolved into the 36 transformations, 72 transformations, 108 transformations of heavenly dipper and earthly fiend transformations, or even a myriad of transformations. That's right. Not bad. The more Li Yu comprehended the 12 awakening transformations, the more interested he became. Incorporating the 12 awakening of hibernation transformations into the shape-shifting ability is indeed a beneficial supplement for me. Li Yu smiled and nodded. He waved his hand and sent a message to the Creation True Spirit. Creation True Spirit, get them to bring Shopkeeper Yu over. The 5-colored peacock and the 5-colored divine light are both very useful. Heavenly Peng Sacred City. Lai Qing went over. The entire Heavenly Peng Sacred City regained its peace. Everything seemed to be normal. However, the smiles on the faces of the Heavenly Peng Sacred City's people meant that everything was different now. Kid, you 2 imposters actually became the Heavenly Peng Sacred Lord? The Creation True Spirit chuckled in Li Feiyu's mind, seemingly amused. Senior Creation, under such circumstances, we really couldn't refuse. Li Feiyu smiled bitterly and shook his head. It's not that there are no benefits. The Heavenly Peng Sacred City is under your control. You can use many resources and the power of the Heavenly Peng Sacred City. It's not bad. The Creation True Spirit looked playfully at Li Feiyu and smiled strangely. Li Feiyu scratched his head and smiled. I didn't think so much back then. Now that I think about it, I feel that I can still be the Sacred Lord. Let's walk around the Sacred City. See if there are any benefits to be gained. Don't forget that your cultivation is still far from it. Li Yu wanted to get Shopkeeper Yu, so the Creation True Spirit immediately persuaded the 2 of them to go out. That's true. After becoming the Sacred Lord of the Heavenly Peng Sacred City, it would be inappropriate to kill the Heavenly Peng Sacred City's people to level up. He had to think of other ways to increase his cultivation. Not long after, Li Feiyu and Han Li walked out of the hall on the mountain peak and started to walk around the sacred city. After walking around for a while, they greeted the Heavenly Peng Sacred City's people along the way. After 4 hours, they still hadn't finished walking around a single street. In the end, the Creation True Spirit ordered that they didn't have to greet them. Only then did the 2 of them relax. When the 2 of them arrived at a grocery store, the Creation True Spirit's surprised voice rang out in Li Feiyu's mind. Kid, the owner of this grocery store, that skinny middle-aged man, has a problem. Problem? What problem? Li Feiyu pretended to be casual as he glanced at the grocery store. He saw the skinny man in green robes, but he didn't find anything out of the ordinary. That person's appearance is fake. He's not from the Heavenly Peng Sacred City. He's from the Peacock Sacred City. Peacock Sacred City. The 5-colored Peacock Sacred City was one of the 72 tribes of the Winged Sacred City, and it was one of the most powerful tribes. A member of the 5-colored Peacock Sacred City hiding in the Heavenly Peng Sacred City was definitely up to no good. Senior Creation, can you see his cultivation? Li Feiyu was already the Heavenly Peng Sacred Lord, and the entire Heavenly Peng Sacred City was under his command. Such a foundation was still very useful, and he naturally couldn't allow others to destroy it. He's just a mid-stage void return. If the 2 of you work together, you can definitely take care of him. The Creation True Spirit immediately gave the answer. Mid-stage void return? Li Feiyu nodded. With the great white formless sword and the great 5 elemental magnetic divine light, it wouldn't be difficult to take care of a mid-stage void return cultivator. Li Feiyu gave Han Li a look and walked into the grocery store. The Sacred Lord has arrived? I can't help but be overjoyed. Seeing Li Feiyu and Han Li walk into the store, a trace of surprise flashed across Shopkeeper Yu's eyes, and he hurriedly greeted them with a smile. Greetings, Sacred Lords. Shopkeeper Yu came before the 2 of them and bowed. Attack. While Shopkeeper Yu was bowing, Li Feiyu gave Han Li a look. Han Li's spiritual power trembled, and a green vine shot out of his hand and swept over. Shopkeeper Yu was bowing to the two of them, and he didn't expect to be attacked. He was instantly bound by the green vine. Sacred Lord, what are you doing? A trace of shock flashed across Shopkeeper Yu's eyes, but his expression was one of confusion, as if he was very innocent. Member of the five-colored peacock sacred city, your disguise is very advanced, but you can't fool the eyes of the heavenly Pring. Under the guidance of the creation true spirit, Li Feiyu waved his hand and instantly broke Shopkeeper Yu's disguise, revealing the five-colored wings of the five-colored peacock sacred city. Sacred Lord, Shopkeeper Yu was bound by the mysterious fairy vine and couldn't move at all. Now that Li Feiyu had broken his disguise, his face was filled with shock, and he hurriedly tried to explain himself. Keep. Li Feiyu didn't allow him to talk nonsense. He waved his hand and kept Shopkeeper Yu into the furnace of creation. If not for the fact that he had to put on a show for the surrounding Tianping Sacred City members, Li Feiyu would have already kept Shopkeeper Yu. Why would he bother to break his disguise? He is indeed a spy from the five-colored peacock sacred city. Sacred Lord, you are wise. The surrounding Tianping Sacred City members shouted and knelt down. They looked at Li Feiyu and Han Li with respect. Shopkeeper Yu is finished just like that? What happened to the five-colored divine light? It's not interesting at all. Li Yu smiled and shook his head. However, the rewards are still pretty good. The bloodline of the five-colored peacock and the five-colored divine light are worth studying. Li Yu's Genesis mystic scripture was closely related to the five-colored divine light. The five-colored divine light of the five-colored peacock was naturally worth studying. Chapter 350. Kid, keep the painting on the wall too. At this moment, the creation true spirit's voice rang in Li Feiyu's mind. Painting. Li Feiyu followed the direction indicated by the creation true spirit and saw an ancient painting of mountains and rivers. It was an ancient painting scroll with mountains and rivers, pavilions and towers spread out in the painting, but the surroundings were foggy. The painting looked unremarkable, but Li Feiyu trusted the creation true spirit's judgment. Without hesitation, he kept the painting in the furnace. In this way, Li Yu had obtained all the things he wanted. Shopkeeper Yu, a direct descendant of the five-colored peacock race. Other than refining the blood of the five-colored peacock's true spirit, you can also obtain the five-colored divine light technique. Li Yu glanced at the storage and smiled. System, scan Shopkeeper Yu's soul memory and record it into the storage. As for Shopkeeper Yu himself, break down and refine the blood of the five-colored peacock race's true spirit. After Shopkeeper Yu was done, all that was left was the painting. The treasure of the five-colored peacock race, the Sumeru painting refined from the feathers of the five-colored peacock's true spirit. It has its own space, which is also a treasure. Li Yu glanced at the Sumeru painting and chuckled. Actually, what I want is not the painting, but the thing sealed in it. Li Yu waved his hand and the Sumeru painting appeared in his hand. He reached out and a light screen lit up on the Sumeru painting. Boom! Crack! Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Li Yu grabbed a small beast with the head of a dragon and the body of a beast with 3 pairs of wings on its back. Its entire body was covered in lightning. The thunder beast struggled as lightning flashed all over its body. It roared like thunder. Endless thunderous roars came out from the thunder beast's mouth, and the rumbling sound never stopped. Endless lightning flashed as if one was in a sea of lightning. However, it was meaningless. The thunder beast could not struggle at all in Li Yu's hands. Thunder beast, thunder spirit. Holding the lightning beast in his hand, Li Yu clicked his tongue in admiration and nodded repeatedly. I didn't expect this world to have such magical powers. He was able to refine living beings from lightning. The immortal technique that Shopkeeper Yu obtained probably has some history. Li Yu was no stranger to the method of creating living beings. Once a cultivator's soul underwent 7 lightning tribulations and became a creator, they would be able to create living beings in the void. That was how the Dream God Base's 9 blazing dragons had come about. Liu Qing had the divine power of the Sun God. It was not difficult for him to create living beings with the power of fire and thunder. However, the manufacturing method of the Thunder Beast in front of him was different from the one Liu knew. This method was naturally worthy of Liu's reference. System, send me the Lightning Beast refinement method from shopkeeper Yu's memories. He reached out and flicked a finger on the Thunder Beast's head. The Thunder Beast was knocked dizzy. It immediately retracted its electric light and stopped its thunder, becoming obedient. So that's how it is. The method to refine the Thunder Beast circulated in his mind, and Liu quickly understood it completely. Gather the souls of 9 different lightning-type spiritual beasts, gather the power of lightning, and use a secret technique to nurture them. Life will be sprouted from the destruction of lightning, giving birth to a lightning spirit. Liu chuckled. I was wondering how they managed to create souls. So it turns out they used the souls of spiritual beasts as a catalyst. This method was somewhat opportunistic. However, Liu's harvest from the entire Lightning Beast refinement method was not shallow. Stones from other mountains can be used to polish jade. Mutual verification has also allowed me to gain a deeper understanding of the life creation method. Liu looked at the Thunder Beast in his hand and chuckled as a thought occurred to him. Ever since I became a Yang God, I have never used the power of the creator of life creation method. The soul of this Thunder Beast is still somewhat lacking. I can modify it. Holding the Thunder Beast in front of him, Liu smiled and stretched out a finger, pointing it at the Thunder Beast's forehead. There is a god in the Thunder Lake. Its belly is filled with thunder, and its eyes are filled with lightning. As Liu chanted, the power of Yang God's creation method flowed out from his fingertip. Endless light bloomed and engulfed the Thunder Beast's entire body. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. A small lightning dragon, about 3 feet long, wriggled out of the lightning. Its stomach rumbled like a drum, and its eyes flashed with lightning. It's only this big? Is the power of lightning too little? Liu chuckled and directly extracted the power of lightning from the thunder pool in the Immortal Mansion garden and poured it into the small thunder dragon's body. Rumble! Streaks of bright silver lightning flashed, followed by a series of thunderous booms. The entire hall had turned into a sea of lightning. Endless lightning intertwined with each other like surging waves. The thunder pool, the lightning turned into water and condensed into a pool. Every drop of thunderbolt water contained an endless amount of thunderbolt power. Under Liu's urging, the 3-foot-long thunder dragon's body began to rapidly expand. A few moments later, a 1,000-foot-long thunder dragon appeared in front of Liu, its body glowing with silver light. Rumble! Rumble! The 100-foot-long thunder dragon coiled in the air and landed in front of Liu, its head touching the ground as it bowed deeply. Not bad. Liu glanced at the thunder dragon and nodded with a smile. This thunder dragon was the spirit of lightning, formed from the convergence of lightning. It was born with the ability to gather and disperse formless forms, and it could transform between reality and illusion. It was a life form that existed between reality and illusion. It was similar to the 9-flame dragon of the Dream God Base. As long as its life mark was not directly extinguished, this thunder dragon was an undying existence. With a wave of his hand, the thunder dragon transformed into a bolt of silver lightning that circled around Liu's fingertips. The 5-colored divine light of the 5-colored peacock is also worth studying. After dealing with the Thunder Beast, Liu allowed the Thunder Dragon to transform into a bolt of lightning that swam between his fingers as he focused on the Peacock Race's 5-colored divine light. System, transmit the Peacock Race's 5-colored divine light technique to me. Shopkeeper Yu's memories contained the 5-colored divine light technique of the 5-colored peacock. Liu copied it over. This technique, the divine essence-fused light? The divine essence-fused light that the heavenly star sages cultivated was the five-colored peacock's five-colored divine light? As the peacock race's five-colored divine light technique circulated in his mind, Liu quickly discovered that the divine essence-fused light of the heavenly star sages was the foundation of this technique. So the divine essence-fused light originated from the peacock race's five-colored divine light. Liu shook his head with a smile. The foundation of the peacock race's five-colored divine light spread to the human world. This is where the divine essence-fused light of the heavenly star sages came from. Liu shook his head in exasperation. I didn't think that my technique would have something to do with the peacock race. His Genesis mystic chi scripture also went from the divine essence-fused light to the five-colored divine light, and then to the invisible profound yellow chi. The peacock race's five-colored divine light is a great Tao true immortal technique? I can use it as a reference. Liu was very satisfied with the peacock race's five-colored divine light. The five elements and five energies manifest as the five-colored divine light. This cultivation method is actually somewhat similar to my cultivation method. As he continued to analyze the Peacock clan's five-colored divine light technique, Liu discovered that the Peacock clan's five-colored divine light was actually somewhat similar to his primordial profound chi scripture. Although it's also a true spirit-body refinement technique, it transforms the body into the body of five elements. However, after the refinement is complete, it doesn't form a spirit domain, but manifests the five-colored divine light. This discovery made Liu even more confident in his Genesis mystic chi scripture. Very good. The Peacock race's technique is very valuable as a reference. It's a useful supplement. Chapter 351. Looks like I've overlooked some things in this world. Liu was enlightened by the Rainbow Peacock's rainbow divine light, and he gained a deeper understanding of his own Tao of the five elements. The spirit realm has good stuff, but so does the demon realm. Liu smiled. Bao Hua can't just sit around doing nothing. The demon realm's nirvana progenitor has a golden crab immortal puppet. I can use it for research. With a flick of his finger, he sent a message. The demon realm. The sky was filled with swirling pink brilliance, and petals were falling from the sky in a riot of colors. Bao Hua was bathed in the rain of flowers, floating in the air like an immortal. Bao Hua? You dare to return to the holy realm? You dare to come here? In a majestic palace below, purple-black clouds churned as a gorgeous woman in a purple robe flew into the air. Sister Luji, you ambushed me back then. That's why you took my position as progenitor. Bao Hua stroked the hair on her temples and smiled gracefully. Today, sister will come back and settle the score with you. Settle the score? Extreme Six Saint Ancestor sneered and glanced at Bao Hua. Purple light filled the sky. Bao Hua, you were struck by my six extreme devouring curse, and sacred ancestor Yuan Yen struck you with the nightmare blood curse. You had no choice but to flee the holy realm. One figure after another appeared in the purple light. A total of 6 purple-robed beauties appeared. Even if you have the arcane heavenly treasure body, you won't be able to recover your original strength. You only have 20 to 30% of your original strength. Bao Hua, you're digging your own grave. The 6 purple-robed beauties raised their hands at the same time, and boundless purple light surged, illuminating the entire sky with a purple halo. 6 extreme arts, devouring sacred art. 6 voices echoed in the sky, and boundless purple light shot into the sky like a volcanic eruption. The surging purple light was like a raging tsunami, sweeping towards Bao Hua. This move again. Sister Lu Ji, you haven't improved at all. Bao Hua chuckled. She elegantly extended her arm and flicked her finger. A pink flower petal flew out of her hand, and a gorgeous pink light blossomed. Pink light swirled, and the petal spun, turning into a pink flower. black heavenly treasure essence, bloom with joy. The pink lotus-like flower grew in the wind, and in the endless brilliance, it turned into a giant flower that was about an acre in size. Dazzling brilliance gushed out from the huge flower. Countless spiritual lights circulated, and dazzling runes emerged from the brilliance. A burst of rich floral fragrance filled the air. The fragrance was intoxicating, causing one's heart to bloom with joy. Ha! Amidst the purple light, the beautiful figure of the six paths burst out laughing in joy within the pink light. Ha ha ha! He laughed so hard that he couldn't breathe. He laughed so hard that he couldn't straighten his back. He laughed so hard that his entire body trembled. The purple light that filled the sky suddenly collapsed and disappeared. The figures of the six purple-clothed beauties shattered one by one. In the end, only the main body of the six paths' sacred ancestor was left. He held his stomach and laughed crazily. Ha ha! Bao Hua Hayu ha ha recover! The six paths' sacred ancestor looked at Bao Hua in horror. His eyes were filled with laughter, but there was a deep fear in them. Sister Lu Ji, you and I have known each other for many years. We are like sisters. I didn't think that you would ambush me for the position of sacred ancestor. Bao Hua sighed and shook his head. Primogeniture is not a title. It is the pinnacle of power in the holy world. Fame and status are actually meaningless. Spare, spare. The six paths sacred ancestor laughed so hard that his entire body trembled. His eyes were filled with fear and endless pleading. You are also a sacred ancestor. When has the word, forgive, been heard in the holy world? Bao Hua shook his head and waved his hand. The huge flower that was about an acre in size flashed and enveloped Lu Ji. The petals closed and wrapped around Lu Ji. Bang! Pink light swirled around the huge flower. With a loud explosion, the entire flower exploded and turned into petals that rained down from the sky. The six paths sacred ancestor was one of these petals. His Majesty Emperor Yu is indeed powerful and his powers are boundless. In such a short time, my cultivation has increased by another level. Bao Hua stood in the air with a smile on her pretty face. My black heavenly treasure tree body and the heaven building with heavenly technique are indeed compatible. Alright, Bao Hua, who was formed from the black heavenly treasure tree, was naturally a good test subject. Even Mo Jianli and the Silver Wolf Grandmaster had become test subjects. Li Yu would naturally not let Bao Hua, the Mahayana stage sacred ancestor, go. Demonic energy and spiritual energy were mutually reinforcing and counteracting. They were still part of the five elements. Bao Hua's heaven building would heavenly technique only absorbed spiritual energy instead of demonic energy. Other than the lack of the green aura of the heaven building would heavenly technique, there was no difference. Ding! At this moment, a purple gold token flew out from Bao Hua's body and floated in front of Bao Hua. His Majesty has instructions? Bao Hua quickly grabbed the purple gold token and touched it with her soul. Instantly, she received Li Yu's message. Nirvana primogenitor? An immortal level puppet? Bao Hua looked in the direction of Nirvana primogenitor's lair and chuckled. Nirvana primogenitor, you were also involved in the sneak attack on me. Since His Majesty has given the order, I will take care of you first. Pink radiance flowed and mana was injected into the purple gold token. A crystal light flashed and Bao Hua broke through the void and disappeared in a flash. An incomparably huge black mountain stood tall on a piece of dark land. At the peak of the black mountain there was a huge black palace standing on top of it. In the middle of the palace sat a tall and ferocious demon. This demon was 16 feet tall and had 3 heads and 6 arms. His entire body was covered in black scales. 3 of his heads had sharp horns and dagger-like fangs. His face was ferocious and ferocious. This was Nirvana primogenitor, one of the primogenitors of the demon realm. Nirvana Primogenitor cultivated the Nirvana sacred technique and cultivated the demon physique to the extreme. He cultivated the divine ability of 3 heads and 6 arms. Which old friend is here? The 3-headed and 6-armed Nirvana Primogenitor raised his head and looked out of the palace. Demonic chi surged from his body and he shouted, "Nirvana Primogenitor, I didn't expect you to cultivate the divine physique technique. It seems that you have made some progress." A soft voice sounded. Endless pink brilliance flowed, and petals fell from the sky. Bao Hua. Nirvana Primogenitor was shocked. He stood up and stretched out his hand. 6 arms appeared, including giant axes, long spears, war hammers, maces, chain hammers, and other weapons. True demon sacred physique, tear the heavens and earth. The 3 mouths on the 3 heads shouted at the same time. The 6 arms raised all kinds of weapons and spun like a windmill. The mighty aura rolled up a huge vortex. The sky in a radius of dozens of miles suddenly shook. The entire void rumbled. The heaven and earth yuan qi transformed into 5 colored light spots that surged like a tide. Boom! A thunderclap exploded in the sky. Nirvana Primogenitor's figure swept toward Bao Hua like a gust of wind. Chapter 352. Nirvana, you're still so arrogant. Bao Hua shook his head with a smile when he saw Nirvana Primogenitor picking up his weapon without saying a word. I won't compete with a barbarian like you in terms of strength. Petals filled the sky and whizzed towards Nirvana Primogenitor like sharp blades. Of course, such an attack was like scratching an itch to Nirvana Primogenitor, who had achieved great success in body refinement. Bao Hua did not pin his hopes on this attack. He just wanted to restrain Nirvana Primogenitor. The petals flew out like sharp blades. Bao Hua's figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. Boom! The entire mountain shook violently. The violent wind smashed everything in the surroundings. Dust filled the sky and debris flew everywhere. However, no matter how strong the attack was, it was useless if it could not hit its target. Bao Hua had already used the purple gold token to break through the void and avoid the attack. Nirvana Progenitor's attack, which swept over like a storm, immediately hit empty air. Take one of my moves as well. The void shook as a jade-white arm stretched out. Her slender fingers were like orchids as she gently placed them on Nirvana Progenitor's back. Boom! Endless pink brilliance flashed. The vast power was like a giant pillar that connected heaven and earth. It slammed into Nirvana Primogenitor's back. Puff! Nirvana Primogenitor spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He hit the peak of the mountain heavily. Boom! The peak of the mountain was directly shattered, and the violent tremors caused the entire mountain to shake violently. Bao Hua, you've recovered your strength? Nirvana Primogenitor wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His ferocious face was filled with surprise. I wouldn't dare to come back if I didn't recover my strength. The pink brilliance disappeared. Bao Hua reappeared and looked at Nirvana Primogenitor with a smile. No, you didn't just recover your strength. Nirvana Primogenitor's 3 heads stared at Bao Hua. You used to be the strongest among us. Now, my Nirvana sacred body has reached the great success level, but I'm still injured by you. It seems that your strength has improved greatly. But, Nirvana Primogenitor sneered. But do you think I don't have a trump card? Come out, Cancer. Nirvana Progenitor roared, and the huge palace at the peak of the mountain exploded with a bang. The entire mountain shook violently, and a vast and majestic aura burst out like a volcanic eruption. A burst of brilliant golden light flashed, and a huge monster rushed out from the shattered palace. It was a huge golden crab. Its entire body shone with a brilliant golden light, with arcs of silver lightning circulating around it. Its vast aura and immense power caused the entire void to tremble violently. Ha 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 ha! Nirvana Progenitor's figure flashed and landed on the back of the golden crab. His 3 ferocious heads were raised high as he laughed wildly. "Is this the immortal level puppet your Majesty mentioned? As expected, it's incomparably powerful." Even though Bao Hua was mentally prepared, he was still shocked by the appearance of the golden crab. "What a pity!" Bao Hua glanced at Nirvana Ancestor, who was laughing maniacally, with a trace of pity on his face. "Unfortunately, what you're relying on is completely meaningless." Bao Hua shook his head and waved his hand. A purple gold token flew out, and an invisible wave swept across. There was no great power that could change the color of heaven and earth, and no great power that could cause the void to tremble. However, the golden crab, which was so majestic and arrogant just a moment ago, instantly lost its spiritual light and fell from the sky like a pile of scrap metal. Boom! The mountain peak shook violently, and a cloud of dust rose into the air. What's going on?" Nirvana Progenitor was shocked to see the golden crab, which had turned into a pile of scrap metal and could not move at all. "Actually, I don't know what's going on either." Bao Hua smiled and flicked his finger. A white chill rushed out of the purple gold token. The chill turned the dumbfounded Nirvana Progenitor into an ice sculpture. His Majesty said that the immortal level puppet's battery is leaking electricity. As long as we drain its battery, it will run out of power, Bao Hua explained to the frozen Nirvana Progenitor, and then shook his head with a smile. "Battery? A pool of lightning? Alright, I don't understand it either." The purple gold token vibrated slightly, and an invisible wave swept across. The golden crab, which had run out of power, and the frozen Nirvana Progenitor disappeared at the same time. His Majesty's task is completed. It's time for me to settle old scores with my other old friends. Bao Hua smiled, and with a flash of pink light, he shot into the sky. Nirvana Progenitor. Golden crab. Hee, not bad, not bad. Liu smiled and nodded when he saw the items that appeared in the resource warehouse. Nirvana Progenitor's technique is still worth studying. Liu waved his hand. "System, retrieve Nirvana Progenitor's soul memory and enter it into the resource warehouse. As for the body, leave it there for now." Nirvana Progenitor's Nirvana Holy Technique was a technique that he created by referring to the remnant of the true demon physique refinement technique that was passed down from the upper realm. What Liu needed was the remnant of the true demon physique refinement technique from the upper realm in Nirvana Progenitor's memory. The 3 heads 6 arms physique divine ability, huh? I've already been reborn from a drop of blood and can transform into anything, but I still don't have the 3 heads 6 arms physique divine ability. In Liu's memory, there were a few mythical characters, such as a monkey and a rebellious kid who was born as a lotus flower. They all knew this divine ability. Although the 3 heads 6 arms physique divine ability doesn't have much beauty, it's still worth studying. After finding the remnant of the true demon physique refinement technique from the Nirvana Progenitor's memory, Liu seriously studied it for a while and found that there were indeed some things that were worth studying. The ability to transform the body? The transformation of 3 heads 6 arms? The transformation of the celestial body? It's a little different from my infinite transformation, but there are some similarities. Not bad. This true demon physique refinement technique from the upper realm could be integrated into Liu's own divine ability. The only thing left was the golden crab. The original owner of this true immortal level puppet has fallen and its energy core has been damaged. I don't know when it fell into the hands of the Nirvana Progenitor in the demonic realm. Liu looked at the golden crab lying in the resource vault and waved his hand with a smile. "System, scan the golden crab structure and record the information into the resource vault." The immortal level puppet refinement technique should be considered the pinnacle of puppet refinement technique. It was already very difficult for cultivation techniques to develop to this level. After scanning the golden crab and recording the immortal level puppet refinement technique, It's still very useful. After taking a look at the golden puppet, Liu had another idea. Since it's in my hands, I'll naturally make it useful. There were still 2 immortal monuments left from the last world, which were just right to transform the golden crab. Of the 5 immortal monuments, 1 was left for the little foxes to be refined into a 9-tailed fox statue, 1 was refined into the 9 dragons' wishful carriage, 1 was refined into a portable immortal residence, and the remaining 2 were stored in the resource vault. System: transform the golden crab into a talisman structure and fuse it with the immortal monument. Multicolored light circulated, and the golden crab exploded, turning into 480 million talisman light spots. Immediately, an immortal monument flew out and also exploded into talisman light spots, fusing with the golden crab's talisman light spot. As the multicolored brilliance circulated, a huge golden crab appeared in the resource vault. Come out! With a wave of his hand, a huge golden crab appeared in front of Liu in a flash of golden light. As the golden light circulated, the golden crab transformed into a young woman with golden hair and golden eyes wearing a golden armor. Greetings, Lord! After the golden crab transformed, she bowed down in front of Liu. Your true form is the golden crab, and you'll be called Xieling from now on. Xie was a homonym of crab. Xieling was the crab spirit, which was just right. Thank you for the name, Lord. Xieling greets the Lord. Xieling respectfully bowed to the ground. Get up. Liu chuckled and waved his hand, motioning Xieling to get up. He had another immortal level subordinate in his hands. Although the strength of this immortal was not small compared to the immortal that Liu understood, it was still very valuable. Chapter 353. My subordinates are very powerful. With the phoenix-colored robe and the golden crab puppet Xieling, he already had 2 immortal-level subordinate. The only thing in the demon realm that I'm interested in is the Divine Spirit Island of the Devil Origin Sea's Divine Spirit Bottle's artifact spirit. Liu touches his chin and chuckles. The bottle in Han Peopeo's hand is the outer shell of the Divine Spirit Bottle, but the artifact spirit is hiding in the demon realm. This artifact spirit is the true spirit of an immortal artifact. It's not the fake true spirit of creation. An immortal artifact's intelligence? This thing is still worth studying. Liu already had the true spirit of creation scan Han Peopeo's divine spirit of creation inside out. As long as he has the materials, making a new divine spirit of creation would not be a problem. The main function of this bottle is to absorb the world's vital energy and turn it into a spirit liquid called Heavenly Fortune Dew. The Heavenly Fortune Dew's main function is to accelerate the growth of all kinds of plants. Of course, the Heavenly Fortune Dew's endless vitality can be used to heal injuries and drive puppet. However, these are all secondary functions. The Heavenly Fortune Dew is pretty good for watering the flowers in the Immortal Residence's garden. Liu turns his head to look in the direction of the spiritual realm and shakes his head. With Li Feiyu and Han Peopeo's strength, who knows how many years it will take for them to collect the divine spirit of the divine spirit bottle themselves. The thing is just there, they can just take it directly. Why wait for them to collect it themselves? Divine Spirit Island, Soul Cleansing Pond, this place is a bit special. The Devil Origin Sea is the place with the densest demonic chi in the entire demon realm. However, the wonders of the world's creation are unimaginable. In this place with the densest demonic chi, there's actually a small island where the purest and densest spiritual chi is condensed. This is the Divine Spirit Island, the Soul Cleansing Pond. The Divine Spirit Island has abundant spiritual chi, and the Divine Spirit Bottle is the artifact spirit of an immortal artifact. Bao Hua, a demon, is not suitable to go. Demonic chi and spiritual chi are mutually reinforcing and counteracting. The true immortals and true demons of the upper realm are also sworn enemies. The artifact spirit of an immortal artifact like the divine spirit bottle would instinctively be hostile to demons. If Bao Hua went there, there would be no other possibility other than a fight. Then let Xie Ling make a trip. Liu nodded as he glanced at Xie Ling, who was standing at the side. Xie Ling is an immortal-grade puppet. She's perfect to trick the heaven-wielding bottle's artifact spirit. Xie Ling. Liu turned his head and called out to Xie Ling, "Your subordinate is here. What are your orders, Lord?" Xie Ling, who was clad in golden armor and looked valiant and formidable, knelt on one knee before Liu with a clanging sound. "Go to the Devil Realm." Liu flicked his finger and sent out a ball of light, transmitting the location of the Holy Spirit Island to Xie Ling. After scanning Bao Hua's memories, Liu was very clear about the location of the Devil Realm. There is a valley on the Sacred Spirit Island. There is an artifact spirit of an immortal artifact there. As Liu spoke, he waved his hand and a jade slip fell into Xie Ling's hand. After you find the artifact spirit of that immortal artifact, show it the jade slip. When it's done, ask it if it wants to go with you. If it agrees, bring it to me. If it doesn't, then don't bother about it. Yes. Xie Ling put away the jade slip and cupped his fists towards Liu. After that, his armor clanged as he stood up and left in a valiant manner. This Xie Ling. When did she become like a female general? Liu blinked in surprise when he saw Xie Ling's words and actions. Xie Ling's current spiritual intelligence was created by Liu using the original spiritual intelligence of the Golden Crab as the foundation and the power of Nirvana Primogenitor's soul. Nirvana Primogenitor had been decomposed, and the pure soul power extracted could not be affected. The Golden Crab's original spiritual intelligence only retained its knowledge and skills. Its spiritual intelligence source had been decomposed and remodeled, so it could not affect Xie Ling's personality. Then Liu scratched his head awkwardly. "Don't tell me I still have a uniform." Cough cough. The Devil Realm. There was a rumble in the void. A valiant Xie Ling in golden armor broke through the air. Devil Origin Sea, Holy Spirit Island. Raising her eyes and looking around, Xie Ling confirmed her location according to the map Liu gave her. Without another word, she rushed to her destination. A ray of golden light like a rainbow streaked across the sky. It was like an army passing through, majestic and domineering. Such a scene naturally alarmed many of the devils below. However, Xie Ling flew all the way. The golden rainbow streaked across the sky with a majestic aura. In a place like the Devil Realm where battles were fought all year round, distinguishing the strength of the enemy was already an instinct of every devil. Seeing such a scene, they naturally knew that this was a big shot that they could not afford to offend. Hence, no one wanted to seek their own death. Flying all the way, she even broke through the void. After spending about 4 hours, Xie Ling arrived at the Devil Origin Sea. In front of her was a vast and boundless ocean. This was a pitch-black ocean. The entire surface was filled with endless demonic qi. This was the source of all the demonic qi in the entire Devil Realm. Hence, this place was called the Devil Origin Sea. Holy Spirit Island, 57,000 miles ahead to the left. A ray of light flashed across Xie Ling's golden eyes. After confirming the location, she turned into a golden rainbow again and charged into the Devil Origin Sea majestically. Not long after, a white light like a pillar of light appeared in the pitch-black demonic qi that filled the sky. Pure and vast spiritual qi propped up a piece of heaven and earth in the endless demonic qi all around. At the place where spiritual qi and demonic qi intersected, countless spots of light shone. Waves of violent tremors and violent rumbles sounded. Destruction, rebirth, explosion, annihilation. Spiritual qi and demonic qi collided continuously at this intersection. Like the intersection of yin and yang, bursting out a huge destructive force. This is the Holy Spirit Island. Xie Ling nodded. The golden armor on her body burst out with a brilliant golden light. His figure flashed, and with a rumble, he rushed across the border and into the Holy Spirit Island. Although the Holy Spirit Island was called an island, it was actually not small. It had a radius of at least 10,000 miles. The target is a valley behind the Spirit Cleansing Pool. Xie Ling scanned with her divine consciousness and quickly found the destination. The golden rainbow rushed up and landed beside the Spirit Cleansing Pool. Hey, is anyone there? Since she had arrived at the destination, Xie Ling's method was very simple. She directly released her immortal level power. A vast amount of power rushed towards the valley like a raging tide. Boom! A yellow light suddenly rushed out from the valley, and a huge force rushed up. The yellow light that filled the sky was like a heavy mountain, directly crushing the power released by Xie Ling, Golden Strongman, Goddess of Luster Ring? But similar to a human body? Your form is very strange. The yellow light swept over. Amidst the yellow light, a palm-sized yellow bottle floated up into the air. A pair of small dark green eyes appeared on the bottle wall, revealing a small pale red mouth. Are you here to take me back? The eyes on the yellow bottle revealed a burst of anger, and the pale red lips let out an angry shout. I'm not going back. Boom! With an earth-shattering sound, all the spiritual chi on the Holy Spirit Island boiled violently, with the small yellow bottle as the center crazily gathering. Chapter 354. Hey, I'm not here to fight with you. Xie Ling saw the little bottle causing a commotion and frowned slightly. Lord asked me to show you this. With that, Xie Ling waved her hand and threw over the jade slip that Liu gave her. Not fighting? Aren't you here to take me back? The little bottle frowned suspiciously. A yellow light rolled up and caught the jade slip that Xie Ling threw over. What's in here? The little bottle didn't look at the jade slip but asked Xie Ling, Lord asked me to give you this. How would I know what it is? Xie Ling didn't seem to want to bother with the little bottle and looked impatiently at the little bottle. Hurry up and finish reading, I still have to go back. Who is Lord? Also, are you a strong man or a fairy? Your body is like a puppet and like a human? What are you? Hey! You're so annoying. Xie Ling glared. An artifact spirit that has lost its original body and can't even transform. I don't know why Lord asked me to look for you. With that said, Xie Ling pointed at the jade slip. Hey, are you going to read it or not? I'm not an ordinary artifact spirit. Little bottle harumphed arrogantly as he muttered. Fine, I'll just watch. What's so great about it? With that said, the little bottle's spirit turned and read the information in the jade slip. Reincarnation of a body? Ghost immortal possession and reincarnation as a human. Can obtain a body of flesh and blood? Can reincarnate as a human? How do you reincarnate? What's next? Why isn't there anything else? The little bottle screamed louder and louder. What's next? What's next? What's next? The sky was filled with yellow light. The little bottle jumped up and down in the yellow light and shouted at Xie Ling, finished reading? Xie Ling looked at the little bottle expressionlessly and nodded. Since you're done reading. Lord also asked me to ask you something. What is it? After a while, the little bottle also calmed down and asked Xie Ling while rolling its eyes. Lord asked me to ask you, are you coming with me? Xie Ling said casually. She then looked at the small bottle and asked, are you going or not? Go with you? The small bottle blinked its eyes and hesitated. TSK, forget it if you don't want to leave. Xie Ling curled her lips in disdain and ignored the little bottle. She turned around and left without hesitation. Sigh. Don't go. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Xie Ling had just taken a step when little bottle yelled and chased after her. I'll go with you, okay? Oh, by the way, who is your lord? How did he know I was here? My master is the celestial emperor of the upper realm. Xie Ling glanced at the small bottle and sneered. Is it strange that the High Lord can see through the 9 underworlds and know that you are here? Celestial Emperor? An immortal emperor of an immortal domain? Seeing through the 9 underworlds with a single glance. Even an immortal emperor's divine sense couldn't pass through the realms, right? Otherwise, I would have been captured long ago. The small bottle floated beside Xie Ling and asked in disbelief. How can the power of a realm stop a High Lord? Can you see if I'm affected by the power of the realm? Xie Ling had fused with the immortal monument, and the golden crab's body had turned into 480 million talismans. Her body could gather and scatter at will, and it had already exceeded the power system of this world. The power of the realm had no effect on her. It's true. The small bottle looked at Xie Ling in shock. Your High Lord is actually so capable. Alright, stop nagging. Hurry up if you want to leave. Xie Ling roared at the small bottle impatiently. A golden rainbow rushed up and broke through the sky. She couldn't be bothered with the small bottle. Hey, wait for me. To be able to reincarnate as a human, it would no longer have anything to do with the heaven-wielding bottle. With a body of flesh and blood, it would no longer be a magic treasure but a free life form. Wasn't this what the small bottle had been chasing? Wasn't this its purpose of leaving its body? Now the opportunity was right in front of it. Moreover, looking at Xie Ling's attitude, she didn't care about it at all. Presumably, her High Lord wouldn't care about it either. This was an opportunity. It wasn't that other people had designs on her or wanted to take the heaven-wielding bottle. In fact, Liu didn't care about the heaven-wielding bottle. He cared about the weapon spirit itself. Dragon Island. The void rumbled as Xie Ling brought the small bottle out and landed in front of the Dragon Palace. Your High Lord is the dragon god from the upper realm? He has already descended to the lower realm? The small bottle looked at the countless true dragons on the Dragon Island and asked in shock. His Majesty descended to the lower realm in the form of a dragon. Xie Ling replied and brought the small bottle into the palace. Greetings, High Lord. Xie Ling bowed to Liu. Suddenly, she realized that the small bottle was still floating in the air. She hurriedly pulled it down. Why aren't you greeting High Lord? Are you High Lord? The small bottle blinked and looked at Liu curiously. Impudent. Sai, who was standing behind Liu, saw how rude the small bottle was. She instantly roared and a vast aura soared into the sky. Phoenix? The small bottle was shocked. Just what kind of expert was this High Lord? She came to the lower realm and even brought 2 true immortals with her. Moreover, both of them weren't affected by the power of the realm. Such a divine ability was simply too frightening. Haha, it's fine. Don't worry. Liu chuckled, and the golden crown on his head flashed a faint light. Righteousness, benevolence, wisdom, courage, holiness, and radiance. It made people feel like they were bathing in the spring breeze. A virtuous and sacred immortal emperor indeed. The small bottle landed on the ground, and the mouth of the bottle touched the ground as a sign of respect. Forget it. Liu smiled and waved his hand, indicating for Little Bottle to get up. This emperor's mind wandered the boundless universe and accidentally discovered that you were stranded in the devil realm, so I asked Xie Ling to bring you back. Liu glanced at the small bottle with a smile and shook his head. You have great willpower and courage to take off your original body. It was just that it was difficult for a Yin spirit to become a saint. If you continue like this, your soul will dissipate sooner or later, and you will be annihilated and return to the void. Your Majesty is merciful. How could the small bottle not know that an opportunity was right in front of him? He hurriedly prayed to Liu. It's not easy for a magic treasure to gain sentience. Very well, this emperor will bestow upon you an opportunity. At this point, Liu smiled. It's a bit troublesome for you to take over a body and reincarnate. This emperor will directly reconstruct your physical body and reincarnate you as a human. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your grace. Hearing that Li Yu would directly reconstruct its physical body and reincarnate it as a human, Little Bottle was unable to contain his joy. Sai, bring it to the dragon transformation pool and let it reincarnate there. Li Yu turned his head and ordered Sai. Yes. Sai bowed and accepted the order, then brought Little Bottle to the dragon transformation pool. Xieling. Li Yu looked at Xieling, who was standing solemnly below, and nodded with a smile. Although the body of a puppet is impermanent and can change at will, in the end, it is not a body of flesh and blood, and its potential is insufficient. As he spoke, Li Yu stretched out his hand and beckoned, and a ball of blood with 5-colored brilliance appeared in his palm. This is the blood of the true spirit of the 5-colored peacock. Refine it into your body and transform the 480 million talismans in your body into the 5-colored peacock bloodline. Then, you can transform into the true body of the 5-colored peacock. With a flick of his finger, the true blood of the 5-colored peacock entered Xieling's body. Many thanks, Lord. Xieling was overjoyed and hurriedly thanked Li Yu. Little Bottle was the body of an artifact spirit, and Xieling herself was also a puppet body. Neither was a body of flesh and blood. Seeing Li Yu reconstruct Little Bottle's physical body, Xieling was actually very envious in her heart. Now Li Yu also bestowed the 5-colored peacock bloodline, allowing her to transform into a body of flesh and blood. Xieling was naturally unable to contain her joy. What one hoped to obtain the most was naturally what one lacked the most. Whether it was an artifact spirit or a puppet, what one hoped to obtain the most was inevitably a body of flesh and blood. Only a body of flesh and blood would have a limitless future and further prospects. Chapter 355. The Little Bottle has already entered the dragon transformation pool? Li Yu glanced at the little bottle bouncing about in the endless purple-gold light of the dragon transformation pool and smiled. System, scan the little bottle's soul structure and copy all of its memories. That was Li Yu's goal. The little bottle was the artifact spirit of the heaven-wielding bottle. The intelligence born from this kind of artifact was very valuable for research. With the little bottle's soul information and the theory behind it, Li Yu would be able to turn the system's intelligence into a true artifact spirit when he made the system in the future. This way, he could avoid the possibility of being discovered as a fake artifact spirit. Making the system's intelligence more deceptive would make it safer and more convenient to fool people. In addition, the heaven-wielding bottle had been in the immortal world for countless years, so the information stored in its memories was also very valuable. Of course, the most important point was that the heaven-wielding bottle's main body had been scanned. Now that the artifact spirit had been scanned, all of the heaven-wielding bottle's information had been recorded. Naturally, the method to make the heavenly fortune due would be in his hands. In the future, he would water all kinds of immortal herbs and divine trees in the immortal residence's garden. Some immortal herbs and divine trees that had been difficult to mature for tens of millions of years would quickly mature. I've received the benefits. I can't go back on my promise to reconstruct its body and give it a body of flesh and blood. Li Yu glanced at the resource vault and found that only Nirvana Progenitor's body was suitable for reconstructing a body. Using Nirvana Progenitor's body to reconstruct a body of flesh and blood for it? That doesn't seem right. Li Yu shook his head. The heaven-wielding bottle was a divine artifact and the reincarnation of its artifact spirit. It was simply a waste to refine a body of flesh and blood from the body of a Mahayana demon. I do have something good that's quite suitable for it. But, Li Yu chuckled. Little bottle, you've received benefits from me. From now on, you can only plant flowers in my immortal residence's garden. With a wave of his hand, a withered yellow mystic fairy vine fell into the dragon transformation pool. This mystic fairy vine was naturally the one Li Feiyu had collected. At that time, Liu took a few inches long section, activated it with the qi of heaven and earth, and sent Li Feiyu away. The remaining mysterious sky fairy vines were still stored in the resource vault. Little bottle, you were originally the artifact spirit of the heaven-wielding bottle. This thing is just right for you. In the dragon transformation pool, Xiaoping, who was playing around in the purple gold light, suddenly saw a withered vine fall and heard Li Yu's voice. Your Majesty, are you asking me to reincarnate as a plant? The small bottle looked at the withered Xian Tian fairy vine and nodded happily. This looks like a Xian Tian fairy vine. Thank you for your grace, Your Majesty. Reincarnating with the profound heavens fairy vine gave Little Bottle a solid foundation. As the artifact spirit of the heaven-wielding bottle, Little Bottle was naturally knowledgeable. Yes, be prepared. I'll cast a spell and reincarnate you. Liu called out and then gave the system an order. System, inject the small bottle's intelligence into the celestial vine. Use the Xian Wang Qi to activate the mysterious sky's celestial vine. The purple gold radiance flowed, and the qi of heaven and earth surged. There was a buzzing sound. The withered Xian Tian fairy vine released endless vitality. Spores sprouted one after another, and vines stretched out one after another. In an instant, a vine that was over 10 zhang long and completely green, as if it was carved out of jade, appeared in the dragon transformation pool. The heaven-wielding bottle's artifact spirit had successfully reincarnated. During this reincarnation process, Liu cut off the connection between Xiaoping and the heaven-wielding bottle and erased the refining mark that the previous owner of the heaven-wielding bottle had left on Xiaoping. With the Yang God's creation ability, he merged Xiaoping's intelligence with the Xian Tian fairy vine. From then on, Xiaoping had completely become a Xian Tian fairy vine. Of course, during this process, Liu naturally had to do something, such as the loyalty mark and so on. Not bad. The heaven-wielding bottle's artifact spirit reincarnated as the Xian Tian fairy vine, but it still has the ability to create the heavenly fortune dew. From now on, you will take care of the garden in my residence. Liu smiled and waved his hand. He directly took out the reincarnated Xian Tian fairy vine through the connection of the resource vault. Lord, my current body as the Xian Tian fairy vine is growing too slowly. I'm afraid it will take more than 1,000,000 years for the fairy vine to grow. The Xian Tian fairy vine fell into Liu's hand. It waved its vine and complained to Liu through the power of its divine soul. You! Liu shook his head. Have you forgotten your original ability? Aren't you able to absorb the essence qi of heaven and earth to create the heavenly fortune dew? With the heavenly fortune dew, you will grow very quickly. That's right. The Xian Tian fairy vine wriggled a few times as if it was very happy. Since you've reincarnated as the Xian Tian fairy vine, your future and past are gone. I'll give you a name. From now on, you will be called Tingqing. Liu casually gave the Xian Tian fairy vine a name. Thank you, Your Majesty. The Xian Tian fairy vine was so happy that it shook again. I still have to find a place to plant it. Liu glanced outside the Dragon Palace, then walked out with the Xian Tian fairy vine. In the square outside the Dragon Palace, Liu chose a flower bed and waved his hand to plant the Xian Tian fairy vine in the flower bed. I'll give you a cultivation technique. You can cultivate here for the time being. I hope you can transform soon. Liu pointed at the Xian Tian fairy vine and passed the heavenly wood technique to it. With the Xian Tian fairy vine's nature, it would cultivate the heavenly wood technique and absorb the heavenly fortune dew. It would probably transform soon. When it returned, Tingqing would be the gardener of the fairy mansion's garden. There's nothing else in the spirit realm that I'm interested in. After dealing with the Xian Tian fairy vine, Liu turned and returned to the main hall. At this time, Xie had already gone to refine the five-colored peacock true blood and transform into a physical body. Kai Yi, on the other hand, had already returned. Taking a sip of tea from Kai Yi, Liu turned to look in the direction of the spirit realm. There's also the Guanghan realm in the spirit realm. It's formed from the fragments of the immortal realm, so there are still some things there. I can also search for them. Apart from that, the immortal who stole the heaven-wielding bottle should still be struggling at death's door in the Thunder Continent, right? Apart from that, there was nothing else in the spirit realm that was worth taking. Li Feiyu and Han Li, those two brats, are really addicted to being sacred lords. Through the system, Liu glanced at Li Feiyu and Han Li in Heavenly Peng Sacred City. After hearing the creation true spirits report, he smiled. They're really enjoying themselves. Li Feiyu and Han Li had indeed profited greatly. After becoming sacred lords, the Tian Peng race had been providing them with all kinds of spirit herbs and mystic arts that they'd accumulated over countless years. Han Li matured the spirit herbs, while Li Feiyu used the furnace of creation to refine pills. Both of their cultivations grew rapidly. However, they can't always stay in Heavenly Peng Sacred City. It's time for them to move. The Guanghan realm isn't too dangerous. Let them go. After Li Yu made his decision, the creation true spirit immediately began to persuade them. The plundering of the Guanghan realm was about to begin. Chapter 356. Kid, you can't stay here like this. The creation true spirit complained in Li Feiyu's mind. Li Feiyu and Han Li had been cultivating in the main hall of Heavenly Peng City ever since they became the sacred lords of Heavenly Peng City. Although the Tian Peng race had countless years of accumulation, this method of refining pills and swallowing pills was much slower than killing monsters to level up. Senior creation, Li Feiyu smiled wryly. Elder Jinue has been guarding us ever since we killed Shopkeeper Yu. We can't go anywhere. The Heavenly Peng race was impressed when they saw through Shopkeeper Yu's disguise. Jinue was also scared to death. Spies from other races had infiltrated the holy city, and the cultivation of the two holy lords was not high. What if they were assassinated? As a result, Elder Jinue stayed by his side and guarded him closely. No matter what they said, she would not leave. Therefore, the two of them had no chance to level up. Although they kept making pills and taking pills, their cultivation progress was not fast. Kid, let me give you an idea. The creation true spirit looked at Li Feiyu with a smile. You can go into seclusion. Seclusion? Li Feiyu's eyes lit up. Yes. At our level, it's normal for us to cultivate in seclusion for 100 years. So, Li Feiyu told Jinue about the seclusion. Jinue was happy. It was a good thing that the two sacred lords were cultivating hard. More importantly, it was the safest place to cultivate in seclusion. Jinue immediately opened the door to the seclusion room and led Li Feiyu and Han Li inside. The seclusion room was closed and the two of them started their seclusion. Kids, I suddenly thought of a good place. The furnace of fortune flew out from Li Feiyu's body and transformed into a true spirit of fortune with the demeanor of an immortal. Then, it began to talk nonsense again. Back then, this old man had once heard from His Majesty, Emperor Yu. A piece of land outside the northern frost deity realm was shattered by a great battle and scattered in the void. The creation true spirit pointed up. Kids, that's a piece of land from the deity realm. Not only is the spirit chi 100 times more abundant than the outside world, but it also has many treasures. Great! Li Feiyu and Li Feiyu naturally believed the words of the creation true spirit. This was because everything that the true spirit of creation had said had always been beneficial to them. Then let's go. The true spirit of creation waved his hand, revealing a glowing teleportation formation. The two silhouettes flashed, and entered the teleportation array, and disappeared in an instant. Clear light flowed, and heaven and earth changed. Senior creation, Is this the Guanghan realm? With a flash of light, Li Feiyu and Han Li arrived at a new world. It seems that the spiritual energy here isn't very abundant. Li Feiyu took a deep breath and asked the true spirit of creation with a puzzled look. This is the lightning bolt continent of the spirit world. The true spirit of creation chuckled. The Guanghan realm floats in the endless void. There's no precise location. If I dare to teleport, do you dare to come? So that's how it is. Li Feiyu was no longer a rookie in cultivation. Naturally, he also understood the principles behind spatial teleportation arrays. Without an accurate location, if one were to teleport over and get lost in the endless void, that would be akin to courting death. Kid, I found something in the books of the Tian Peng race. There's something on the lightning bolt continent called the Guanghan token that can locate the Guanghan realm. The true spirit of creation turned into a speck of light and returned to Li Feiyu. There's also a Dharma artifact here called the Guanghan instrument that can also locate the Guanghan realm. As long as you find these two items, I can teleport you to the Guanghan realm. The Guanghan token and the Guanghan instrument? Alright. When they arrived at the other continent, they were completely clueless about the situation here. However, the two of them weren't worried at all. The first task was naturally to get rid of a few of the foreign races. First, he needed to understand the common sense of this continent. They were standing in a desolate mountain range. The two of them flapped their wings and soared into the sky. When they couldn't find the enemy, letting the enemy find them was a very suitable method. Two streaks of escaping light, one gold and one green, whistled through the air. The Great Ping spread its wings, and the Great Ping traveled 10,000 miles. Although their cultivation wasn't very high and they couldn't fly thousands of miles with a flap of their wings, their speed was still very fast. Even so, they were much faster than ordinary streaks of light. ****. When the two of them spread their wings and flew over a mountain, a roar suddenly sounded from the mountain below. A figure rushed up with a rumbling sound. Two-winged birdman. I was refining pills when you scared me and ruined a cauldron of pills. If you don't give me an explanation, I'll tear you apart. A man with two horns on his head and skin that was shining with a metallic luster as if he was made of bronze appeared in front of Li Feiyu and Li Feiyu. He pointed at them and roared. Kid, this guy is at the return to void final stage. Don't be careless. The true spirit of creation reminded Li Feiyu in his mind. Explanation? Li Feiyu glanced at the two-horned foreign being and nodded with a smile. Of course I have to give you an explanation. Li Feiyu shot a glance at Han Li and waved his finger like a sword. A 5-colored light flashed and a thread that could annihilate the 5 elements and destroy all things whizzed through the air. At the same time, a green light burst forth from Han Li's hand and a green vine shot forth. Ha? You still dare to attack? My reputation as the bloody butcher of Xinjun is not for nothing. The two-horned foreign being sneered malevolently. A small bronze shield whizzed out and transformed into a huge shield. It blocked in front of him like a city wall. He reached out and a huge blood-colored battle axe appeared in his hand. A ferocious and ruthless aura surged from it. Pfft! The 5-colored silk thread glided past, and the huge shield, which was as thick as a city wall, could not resist at all. With a pu sound it was split into two. The two-horned foreign being did not have time to be shocked before the green vine wrapped around him tightly. The green vine that looked like it would break with a single struggle was actually unimaginably tough. Pfft! The 5-colored thread coiled around the two-horned foreign being's neck. Blood splattered and his huge head flew into the air. The so-called bloody butcher of Xinjun was destroyed in a single blow. He died cleanly. Keep! With a wave of his sleeve, the body and head were instantly sucked into the furnace of creation. As the furnace of creation rotated, the bloody butcher of Xinjun was completely refined. Two light spots flew out and landed between Li Feiyu and Han Li's eyebrows. The Thunder Continent, the Qi clan and the Yun clan have been fighting for many years. The Qi clan is the strongest clan on the Thunder Continent. In order to fight against the Qi clan, 13 small clans formed an alliance and formed the Yun clan. Is the Guanghan instrument in the Yun clan's main city, Cloud City? After reading this information, Li Feiyu chuckled and looked in the direction of Cloud City. The target is just ahead. Let's go. The two of them rushed toward the direction of the Cloud exiting city. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.